is there?
Yes, sir.
Pranab, I think already 180 people have joined. I think we should start.
So, good morning, everyone present here today. Warm welcome to all who have joined. So, I will be the MOC for this session, and I would like to thank you all for taking the time to attend this session. So, this session would be about the financial fitness, covering all aspect of your personal finance. So, I would like to invite Dr. Hemant Dugar to start the proceeding. So,
Good morning, everybody. It is so heartening to see. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Pranab, am I audible? Okay.
yes, sir.
Yes, quite
Right.
loud and clear.
Oh, thanks. So, very, very good morning on this fine Sunday morning to all of you. And so heartening to see more than 200 delegates interested in the fitness, but this time it is not the physical, it is the financial. It is said that in a life of a person, there are the stages where the first period, the young or when you start the career, is that you work for money. And then later on, it should be that the money should work for you. And exactly to understand all this, we have had a series. This is the third webinar we are having with the help of Finovate, our partner, on this financial literacy, which can help us understand that why it is important and how we can achieve it. And of course, our president, Dr. Nilima Vaidya Bhamre, she's been very, very particular and like wants to cover 365 topics in 365 days of the tenure 2022-23. So yes, Nilima, you can think what I'm going to say about you. So here is our president, Dr. Nilima Vaidya Bhamre. She is all set to give her welcome address. A gynecologist by profession, has been secretary of AMC for consecutive 2 years, vice president of Kandivali Medical Association, founder member of Mumbai Dhadkan, secretary of Being Doctors, ex-member of Medical Legal Committee, Foxy, because she is a lawyer, also LLB. Of course, very good speaker and gold medalist in her academic career. So, welcome, Dr. Nilima. I'm not going to comment anything different than this.
You did enough last time. You did enough.
See, it is always said that anything unexpected is what is, very impressive and good. Today, you were expecting that I'm going to say something. And since you were expecting, I'm not going to say this is that here is charming our president. She is going to welcome and start the proceedings. Over to you, Dr. Nilima.
Thank you, Hemant. And like I said, you infuse that energy into me. I already have a lot of it that people say, but then तुम उसको बहुत चार चांद लगा देते हो, I think, I always in my slide, I've added that sentence about secretary of being AMC for 2 consecutive years. Believe me, those 2 years were very tough. We were working with Mukesh and his innovative ideas and need to understand and actually get them implicated and implemented. All right, was a tough job. Then came COVID, and with Deepak, he is so streamlined and he has so many ideas, and he is so legally also inclined, and working with him taught me how to do that. So I learned with two very good precedents, and that is why today I think I've become a very capable person. And Hemant, that 2 years of secretary in AMC, Dr. Hemant has been secretary with me in AMC, and believe me, he has been a very, 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 very strong support. Because I'm a very vociferous person. I want to bring a lot of changes. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do everything. And yes, AMC, the president has only 365 days. So unfortunately, there are a lot of projects we started this year, which I'm not, I hope I'm able to finish them this year, but they are tough projects. Something like the NTROCs is not a very easy thing. Our groups have already been made. There are discussions going on. We are going to finalize on an amount. Then to sit with the authorities and try to negotiate with them is a tough job. Second job that we have taken up is the MPCV. Believe me, we have done so much of work on the MPCV that now we've become authorities, on environment. And with Lata and Sunil and everybody being on board, we have gained so much of knowledge in the MPCV. And please hold your horses. We are very soon going to find some good solutions. I'm also talking to our advocate team, and yesterday only I had a Zoom call with all of them, and we discussed the entire nitty-gritties of how to take this forward. So we are doing this. You don't please believe that there's only programs going on. Lot of background work is going on. We are working on our own constitutional amendments. We are also working with the fire department for the drills. We are working with the police department for the SOPs. SOPs are ready, but they are yet just got to go out. AMCON, there are going to be a lot of announcements. So I'm hoping that you all are able to attend. And like I said, single window registration was seeming to be an impossibility. But the moment I attended last year's lecture on the ABDM, I realized that this is one avenue we can work on. And we started our work there. And that is where we approached the various departments. And we have implored upon them about how to integrate the whole system. In this ITCon that we are having on the 12th of February, our endeavor is to create a white paper and present it to the authorities. At the AMCON, we are going to take your signatures on the white paper and then go ahead. So please see to it that you attend the AMCON. That is one chance that you get to physically sign and show the authorities that you want a single window registration, and that registration process is causing you a lot of grief. So I want you all to attend the AMCON in large numbers. Our panel discussion we have kept this time is survival of nursing homes. And believe me, it is going to be a very, very, very interesting panel. And I'm hoping that you all contribute during the panel discussion as to what your problems are and how we can possibly tackle them. So I am waiting for you all to join in the AMCON. Dr. Hemant Dugar has impressed into my head that, Nilima, do not have anything else but AMCON on your mind now. So singularly, we are going to be focused on the AMCON, but the ITCon is coming on the 12th of Feb, and the white paper is going to be created. We need physical presence for you to be there, because we are inviting authorities who are going to listen to us. Even the ABDM representatives are going to be there at the ITCon. So I'm hoping to see both all of you all there. And Reena is going to tell you all the details of the AMCON and how beautifully we have planned it. You've already seen the entire topics that we are going to tackle with. In this year, we have managed to touch upon every aspect of your life. In the AMCON, we want dance performances from the members. So please, you have a lot of time, it's still 20 days more to go. So 20 days में एक 3 मिनट का डांस तो हम ही कर ही सकते हैं. जो आदमी MBBS और MS और MD और DNB और DGO और ये सब पास कर सकता है, उसके लिए 20 दिन डांस करने, 3 मिनट का डांस करने के लिए is not difficult. So please choose your dances and approach Dr. Preeti. We have given the number, and please put in your entries, and I hope to see a lot of participation at the AMCON. And genuinely, we are increasing the charges from today. So I hope you all have registered. Marginal. For members, it's only always a marginal increase. And we have seen to it that the members benefit more than the non-members. we have always been very, very impartial. And the AMCON is going to be nearly our last program. I'm trying to integrate the car rally into the AMCON. Let us see how we can manage it. And fresh announcements about the AMCON will come today because the new charges are going to come. So right away, if you book the AMCON, the prices of the extension are still going on. So right now is the time if you want to avail of that little amount of discount that we have done. Otherwise, there is no problem. The members can afford even the later charges. So please join in, and hi and welcome to this webinar. And Pranav, I think you can take over. Thank you so much.
With that, I would like to introduce Dr. Reena Vani. Dr. Reena Vani is the professor and head of department, the Medical College and Dr. R.N. Cooper Hospital. She is the program committee chairperson of AMC Mumbai. She is also a member of FOGSI for the COVID.
No, that's enough. I think
Okay, sure.
the important thing is today's program. We are very happy that our president is looking at not just the medical legal aspect, which was always associated with AMC, but we are looking at financial, mental, physical, all-round fitness for doctors. And I'm really happy to say that almost 250 people have logged in already. And congratulations to the convener, Dr. Dedhia, and our president for this vision. Friends, of course, today Fincon 3 is going to help you in your financial planning. But please remember, as Nilima already said, AMCON is the signature event, and we are really looking forward to participation. And we've tried to keep it as a holistic program where we are looking at things from head to toe. We have, for example, spirituality, we have sexuality, we are having mental health, we are having yoga. Everything is being covered. We are having Dr. Sandesh Mayekar talking about universe in your mouth. So there are many, many things we're covering from head to toe. We are having Dr. Keki Mehta, such a well-known ophthalmologist, who's going to be talking to you about vision. And so our vision is that all of you, please be there in large numbers for AMCON. It's on the 25th and 26th, and we've kept the charges very reasonable. And it's at the GTC ground, Villeparle West. And as Nilima has already said, you're getting the opportunity for the concessional rate to. Today is the last day after which the charges will go up. And please do come for the banquet and participate in the social program with the dances. It's going to be a fun event, and I'm sure that's going to make your weekend really rock. And after that, of course, Women's Day is also coming up. We have other programs in store, but right now, requesting all of you to turn out in large numbers and be with us, because the success of our program is in your presence. And thank you for being here with us today. Back to you, Pranav, for taking the proceeding forward. And thank you, Dr. Rahul Rane, who's there with us to help Pranav as the Master of Ceremonies for today. Over to you.
Thank you, Reena ma'am. I would like to introduce Ms. Nehal Mota to start with today's topic, that is financial fitness. So she is the co-founder and director of Finovate, which is a SEBI-registered investment advisory firm. She has been shortlisted for the 40 woman entrepreneur by Goldman Sachs and NSRC IM Bangalore for the 10K women and entrepreneurs program. She has a rich experience of 20 years across financial service industry. She has also conducted more than 500 educative webinars, and she has trained more than 25,000 people. So over to you, Nehal ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much to the entire AMC committee, Dr. Nilima, Dr. Hemant, Dr. Veena, Dr. Rahul, and a lot of other members who are not today on the panel with us. We've been affiliated with AMC for a decade. And slowly, steadily, this whole financial literacy initiative, which is being taken forward, it's really, really heartening to see someone pursue this for as long as 10 years. And a warm welcome to everyone today. So, I just want to start, you all can use the chat. Our session will be very interactive. I am just starting the session, and then I'll be like coming in somewhere in between with something very innovative today. To ask you a question, what do you think is financial fitness? Pranav, if we can just move to our slides. Okay. So I will be covering what is financial fitness, what are the 6 pillars. Once if you ensure that it is in place, then your financial health is in place. Just go back, Pranav. Then we'll be also, like I said, there's a surprise. So there will be like a small quiz or a test which we all will take to assess our own financial fitness. And towards the later part, I'll be talking about the power of compounding. So I think in chat, y'all can mention that what financial fitness means to you. So I've been meeting a lot of doctors in the last 10 years, and most of our conversations really is around returns. People talk about, is it something to do with wealth management or investing? And can I know what is the returns? So everyone's focus is what is a cost in what I'm investing and what is a return. But financial fitness is not only about earning returns. There are 6 pillars to financial fitness. Say if you invest and you earn supernormal returns on a very small amount of investment, it will not make sense. So financial fitness refers to a stage where an individual or a household's financial health is in place at all points of time. And it is a process. It's not that by making certain investments, I'm financially fit. By buying certain insurance policy, I'm financially fit. So like physical fitness, you cannot borrow it from anyone. You cannot inherit. You have to work in and day out by exercising to achieve a great, physical fitness. Same is with the financial fitness. It is work in progress continuously. Say you meet a good financial planner, you get a financial plan and you start implementing the plan. So it's not that, oh, I got a plan, now I know what to do. It is not a one-time thing. You have to implement the plan. Life is very dynamic. Life will go through a lot of changes. So your finances will also go through that changes to reflect the life situation. And, that is what financial fitness is all about. Moving on to the next slide, Pranav. Next slide. Okay, so I'll say that when a person achieves, of great financial fitness. So to start with, the first step in financial fitness is understanding your cash flows. What is the income? What is the expenses? Are you very highly leveraged? Is a lot of your income going in paying EMIs and interest indirectly? Okay, so understanding cash flow and budgeting your income and budgeting your expenses is the most important thing. The next pillar is risk management. So Dr. Narendra Dedia will be talking about, how to analyze income, expenses, how to set budgets, so that you have enough amount of money left to save for the future, or I will say even for the present. Dr. Rahul will talk about risk management, that what are the kind of risks that as doctors, it can hit us and even hit our family, and how do we plan for it? Loan management, I think that is a part of budgeting or cash flows, so maybe Dr. Dedia will touch upon that, how much loan should a person take, or, how they should not be very highly leveraged. In my session, I'll be touching upon that, what are financial goals and how a simple person can plan financial goals and actually ensure financial fitness at all points of time by investing in lines with the financial goals. We will talk briefly about taxation, that should we pay our taxes or not, and not paying taxes, how much harm does it do to us? And last but not the least, Dr. Dilip Raichura with an expert, Mr. Shailendra Dubey, will talk about succession planning, that why is it important. So we say that financial fitness is the 6 pillars. You have to balance all 6. If you only look at wealth management or wealth creation and you chase returns, but you have not taken into account risk, or you have not taken into account saving enough taxes, or you have not even done estate planning, then what is the point of earning that additional returns? So today's session is to, really make everyone understand that there are 6 aspects to personal finance, and we want to draw your attention on each one of it and basically give, certain, I'll say, broad guidelines on how you can manage all 6. So all over to you, Pranav, and let's start this journey towards financial fitness. And I can assure at the end of the session, people will feel themselves much more financially fit than what they are when we are beginning the session. So all over to you, Pranav.
Thank you, Nehal ma'am. With that, I would like to introduce Dr. Narendra Dedia. He will be touching upon budgeting aspect. So Dr. Narendra Dedia is an ex-professor, head of department in Dr. JJ Group of Hospital and Grand Medical College. He's a managing director and CEO of Parekh Hospital, and he's an architect of a Mumbai model of dialysis. A special interest for educating financially for doctors and getting them financial freedom. He has an achievement award from Government of Maharashtra from Sri Narendra Modi. He has received various award. Name a few. So over to you, Dr. Dedia.
Good morning, friends. Is that I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, okay. I think there is a little bit confusion, but now that confusion we will try and avoid during my talk, because I was thinking that I was given a budgeting and financial planning. And so in the budgeting means the planning should become as a part of that. Anyway, we will try to see that I should not overlap that somebody else, and at the same time I can try and finish whatever the 25 minutes has been given to me. Friends, budgeting and proper planning for the finance is very, very important. Now, budgeting is so important that, in fact, I'm trying to change my talk a little bit, what the Nehal had spoken to me a couple of minutes that. So Nehal, I will try and adjust that we can not overlap. Now, budgeting becomes so important in a part of the financial planning that ultimately, if you want to create the wealth, then it's hugely important, and how we can go ahead for that. Now, importance that at what stage of the life you are starting this. Ideally, it should have been started very, very early age or beginning of your practice, at least when you start your practice. So you have enough planning for your future, and you can plan how you budget today, tomorrow, and in for the future. So this will be very important, that bolte aaj, kal or tomorrow. Something is very important, and that we should do. And if you are lucky, what I want to say, if you are lucky, like now what probably we have done, probably thought for our kids, then budgeting is started or planning is started by your parents, and then the fruits will be given to your children. So this is very important at what stage, but at the same time, I will say never the late, and the day you come to know, please start the budgeting, please start the planning, and that will help you to have a ease in the life, that will help you to create the financial freedom, and that will help you to create a wealth for yourself and for your family. Now, when I talk these things, I always will say whatever I am going to talk today, at the end of my talk, you will realize that, अरे ये तो हमको मालूम था, ये तो simple है. Yes, it is actually very simple. Nothing great which I am going to tell you, nothing new which I am going to tell you, but at the same time, जो हम लोग को बोलते हैं ना, we have some कीड़ा. So we don't try to do the simple things, and we try to make it complicated by doing something. So it's so simple, but you need to have a discipline, you need to have a budgeting. So you have to sit down, you have to budget yourself, how you manage your cash flow, how you manage your expenses. So when you are doing a budgeting, here I will tell you one golden rule. And that golden rule is that don't think that spend your money after saving is not the ideal thing. Ideal is you first do the investing, first plan for the investment budgeting, and then you start spending. So that is very important logic. So if you really want to create the wealth for yourself. So do not invest what is left after spending, but spend after what is left after investing. Now, if this you can create, that will change your entire life. It may sound little difficult, but once you sit down properly, once you look into your financial, once you look at your income, probably you can do it. Now, budgeting always will look that how you look at today, how you look at your month, how you look at your year, and then your future planning. So that will be also as a part of the budgeting, where you think about your tomorrow, what kind of the expense you are going to have it. Can we go back to the next slide? Now, when I talk about the budgeting, one of the most important slide, and I always try to bring that people should know while doing the budgeting, what are the financial rules, what are the financial aspect, and how it works. And for that, I will always say that you must have some basic knowledge about the finance. Now, that basic knowledge should be where it comes, because if you have an attitude, if you want to create a wealth for yourself and your family, then it will come. But then you should have that attitude. You should develop that attitude, which will help you to create a wealth for yourself. And here I will always say, okay, now our madam, President Madam is there online. Rahul, you are there, right?
I'm very much on.
Yes, sir.
So,
I'm
madam,
also
can I
there.
ask you one simple, quick questions? How many kids you have?
I have only one.
Okay, one. So, Rahul, now I will ask you the question. You have another child. So, what I will tell a second child or third child theory. Now, this particular slide, power of compounding, and Rahul to have a second virtual child, I will take it both together. Now, why I'm telling you this is important in budgeting, this, if you person knows that power of compounding, which is the eighth wonder of the life, and if you know this, and I will tell you my personal experience, if I would have known these things at the beginning of my career, I came to know about this about 15 years back. But if I would have known beginning of career, probably I would have been having whatever the wealth today, 3 to 10 times more wealth. Otherwise, what I would have it. So that is very, very important. Now, and this particular slide, if you allow me, I can go and talk on and on and on for almost a whole day or even more than that. And I will ask the people, they can enlarge these slides, they can look at these slides, and a couple of minutes I will take it on this slide because it's very important. And once you understand this slide, if you have a possibility, you just copy this slide, you can take a picture of this slide or click this slide and keep it and go on analyzing at regular interval and go on saying every time you will learn something new. But then here I will tell you, if you look at the things, if you put a 5,000 rupees, so what I was telling Rahul, you should have a second virtual child. Now, how much amount of money? Your wife is pregnant, delivery, education, going on holidays, and so on and on. So your child, after the birth, till he becomes 30 years of life, he or she is not going to give any money to or earn any money for himself or herself or for the family. Right? Rahul, agreed?
Right, sir.
So
Absolutely.
what happens that how much money you will spend? 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 50,000 per month, where you have to count everything. Education, you have to count the spending on holidays, buying the clothes and day-to-day expenses and so on for a child. Rahul, quick answer.
Sir, around
People will tell me
15,000,
15,000, 20,000, somebody will say 50,000 also. So now this comes as a part of expense. And when we will keep approximately 25,000.
okay.
So now 25,000, now look at this slide. 5,000 somebody is putting. I don't know if Nehal is there or Nehal is left. I will say that, or Pranav is also there. There are so many mutual funds are there that they have given the return. Simple mutual fund. I am not going into another things of the investment. Have given 15% or more than 15% return year on year, CAGR, what we call. So when Rahul is making an investment of 5,000 for the virtual second child, how much money at the end of the 30 years that child will be worth, or how much money it will be? 3.5 crore rupees.
Yes.
But if you look at the slide, just I'm going into like again little detail. At the 5 years, it was 4,42,000. At 10 years, it is 13 lakhs. So then it becomes 33 lakhs, and 20 years, 74 lakhs, 25 years, 1 crore 62, and 3.5 crores by 30 years. So this was a 5,000. But Rahul says that expenses are around 25,000 per
Sir, you have taken
month.
consideration 15% return, rate of return.
Right. Yes. And there are quite a few funds which has given return 15 or even more than that. So this is the average return what I have considered. And if it is a 25,000 amount of return, how much it will be? It will be around 20 crore rupees.
Almost.
So Rahul, beauty is that this your second child's value is
20 crore.
20 crore. So Rahul, what will happen? Suppose your age is now 30 years and you start this, and at the 30 years, after 30 years, 60 years onwards, you have one more child whose value is 20 crores. So once your first child will know that बाप के पास तो ये second बच्चा है, उसकी value 20 crore है, तो your first child will never leave you. So this is the beauty of doing the budgeting. This is the beauty of understanding the budgeting. This is the beauty of realizing your budgeting, what you are doing today, what it can become a tomorrow. So friends, financial wizard, financial jugaad bolte hain, is so important. You have to sit down. You have to sit down with the figure. You have to analyze the things, and it will make a huge wonder for you, yourself, and your family. And this is, I told you, at 30 years. If you make it a 40 years, then you cannot imagine what amount will be, because the time factor is very important. And initial time factor, what you are given, that will give you the huge return later on. So this was one important thought which I wanted to give today's audience, that it is very important, friends. Keep it in mind while doing the budgeting, that you must know that compounding effect is a financial wonder. And today you save little more. Today you save at the early age of the life. You can create your future much more better, much more secure, and it will be a wonderful experience for all of you. I think I had made it very clear. So Rahul, think of that second virtual child for yourself. Now we can go for the next slide. So as a budgeting, as I told you, you have to think the budgeting for today's, then tomorrow, and for the future point of view. And that will be important. Risk management, I am not touching, because this will be definitely handled by the further speaker. And again, wealth creation and will be taken up by the Nihal. Next slide. Now, I was told that Rahul is talking on the risk management and insurance part. He is already been taken into this. So here just I will touch one particular thing, and yes, that will be done by the Rahul. Simple fundized principles, the insurance and investment. While budgeting, many times we make it together. So both are totally different things. Don't combine. And आपके पास आपका भाई का लड़का, आपका friend का लड़का, या somebody is coming and he's an insurance agent, don't become emotional. Have a food, take him outside, give him some whatever, but then don't just go on investing separate or put the money in LIC. So I'm in insurance. So that is a very simple thing. Here, one extra thought while giving the budgeting and planning is for the medical insurance, which I have done for myself. And it really worked extremely well and successful, which I want to give. But this is all together out of the box thinking. And people should think about themselves, and if whether it is a good for them or not, they should decide and do it. I put down always the little bit out of things in the mind, and then I always say that in Mediclaim, when you are looking at the health coverage, and you are young, yes, medical insurance part is required, but here I will just that will be touched by the Rahul. I am just giving a one out of thought. My experience is that here also you think about that compounding effect while budgeting that. Here also you think about the things which can work probably. So you should have the insurance for the 10 years. Mediclaim I am talking about, health insurance I are talking about. But at the same time, if you have a little extra budget, plan it separately for the health coverage and start investing. I had done the investment about 12 years back in one of the mutual fund, only looking for the which will cover my health insurance. And today that value is almost 60 lakh rupees. So within 11 to 12 years, it becomes like that. So I can imagine, and it is will grow on and on and on. So probably after 10 more years, if I don't have a money also, actually my enough saving will be there with that particular scheme, keeping in mind about the look after my Mediclaim, and that will be helpful to me for my future. So another funda I usually tell to all the juniors or all of my friends, that while you are doing the budgeting, while you are planning, when you are a youngster, your blood is warm and you want to experience something more, but always keep it in mind that I said that Akkal ka laddu or whatever hum bolte hain, maar kha ke sikha hai. Today, if you spend for the things you do not need it, then one day you will have to sell the things you need. This is another golden rule. So in budgeting, these things to be kept in mind is very, very important. That once I had seen that quite a few people have been spending money aggressively. They think that they want to have experience. Just give you a simple example. At the younger age, beginning of the practice, you spend the money for your profession, for your business, is absolutely okay. But while budgeting, if you don't realize that you are spending the money, extra money for your luxury at the beginning of practice and paying the EMI, and then your budget, you are not looking in the budgeting how to adjust that money, and then you start paying for that. Example I can give you, somebody is buying a BMW or a Mercedes car at the beginning of the practice and spend EMI anywhere between 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees per year, per month for 5 to 10 years, and blocking their other future planning. I think that is then probably you must remember these golden words, that next day may come that you have to sell the things which you really need, or you cannot do it what ideally you should have been done, and you are spending for unnecessarily. So this is important points which I want to inform you. Next slide. So last, this is again while doing budgeting and the financial planning, this is very, very important, is that you should have a good financial advisor. I always say, and here also I will repeat why I want to tell you that good financial advisor, because even today also, in spite of I have enough people around, I have a good financial advisor. I have a person who helps me in budgeting. I have a person whom with I discuss regularly, and not one, we have 2 to 3 people who can help us, and meeting them with regular interval is very, very important. You have to give a little extra time for that, and that time will definitely give you huge returns in your future. So Here I don't. I will like to share one example also, that how the financial advisor can make you a huge effect. So, friends, the budgeting and understanding the putting your budget at the proper way, putting your money in a proper way, looking at your cash flow properly, allocating your money for the various things in your day-to-day life and your beginning of your practice can put a huge pillar, good pillar for your future, and that will be helpful to you and your family to create a huge wealth also. So, and that will help a lot to the your later part and create a financial freedom also. I think thank you very much. I can hand it over to the next speaker or the MOC to take it further.
Thank you, Dr. Dedia, for your time and valuable insight on the budgeting aspect. With that, I would like to introduce Dr. Rahul Rane for talking on the risk management aspect. So he is a orthopedic surgeon with spine and joint replacement specialist, ortho surgeon at Hiranandani Hospital, Nanavati and Criticare Hospital. He is a startup founder and runs multiple business along with business medical practice and co-founder with many other businesses as well. He's a fitness freak, marathon runner and a swimmer. Yeah.
Thank you, Pranav, for the introduction. Pranav, I would like, can you please share the slide as well? Or do you want me?
Well, I think the option must be with you of share screen. Since
Oh.
you have come in as a panelist, share screen option is there down.
Fine. So, yeah. So, is my screen visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
very
it is.
much.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So, thank you so much, President and Secretary, for choosing me to speak on this topic. So my today's topic is about risk management planning for doctors. So all of us are knowing that we doctors are very much concerned about the risk of our patient. But when the risk come to us, we are not that expert that we should be regarding our own finance. So let's see in deeper about the risk management and understanding what is the risk for our finance as a doctor, because each and every doctors I know, almost those who are in a very say even after 5 to 10 years of practice, everyone, the doctors come in a very good financial states, but the managing finance and earning finance, both are quite a different thing. As the Dedia sir has quite very well said it, Dedia sir being so much senior owner of Parak Hospital and earns so much of money, even himself, he is in that financial field. He recently said that he understands the concept of compounding a little bit late. So understanding these concept and understanding the risk and preparing for all this risk is very much important. So let's see what are the financial risks. And Dedia sir, thank you so much for giving me that insight of having a second child as a financial child and the compounding part. I'm really thankful, and I'm definitely going to implement that.
Good. I think it should be helpful to everyone.
Yes, sir, definitely it is helpful. We all know that there is a 7 wonder which is known as a compounding, but we don't take it as seriously as it is. And all my other friends who are into the finance, they keep on saying this, the 7 wonder, the 8th wonder, sorry, the 8th wonder is the compounding. And we should take this as a seriously and keep on implementing this. Now let's come to the topic. What is the financial risk as a doctor we have? And what should we do to manage all this risk? So if we see that what are the risks, definitely all these risks are divided into mainly the three categories. First one is the personal risk, second one is the asset risk, and third one is the liability risk. So the personal risk is of our life, our health, then accident and critical illness. These are the risks for personal. As an asset risk, of course, our first asset is our vehicle. Then second is our home, the motor, mobile, and house asset. And third one is the liability asset, the liability which is our profession, the professional indemnity. So we should create a risk plan for all these things. We should note down what is our current state of our health, how many insurance we have, what are our liabilities, what are the dependent, what is our monthly income expense, what is our EMIs are going. We can note it down, we can put it in a Excel sheet, those who are experts, and first get a clarity of our financial state and then start creating a risk plan for it. So we must have all these risk covers. Generally, it is a 3D, what we know, and fourth one is the E. The third one, 3Ds is disease, disability, death, and fourth one is the emergency. We should think about all these risks and plan for it. So how we can plan all these things? So let's see into things. So we can have the insurance to manage all these risks. First one is we should always have a term insurance. The term insurance is definitely, it covers all our loans and all our asset post our death. So we'll go into detail. Second is health insurance, the critical illness insurance, the personal accident and insurance, and professional indemnity as well. So what is term insurance? Generally, the term insurance cover us. It provide a financial coverage to the beneficiary when the person dies. So this is the term insurance is not for our term insurance is basically safeguard for our family. If we have taken a loan of crores, we have built a house, we have buy a house or property worth of crores, and we have taken an EMI for it. But God forbid if something happened to us, do you think that we have bought a house, we have bought something, we have taken a huge loan, and we don't want our family to burden after our death? So term insurance is basically insurance with post our death. It provides us coverage. It gives a lump sum amount which can be utilized to repay the loan, which is even coverage to all the liabilities what we were having during our life. So generally, how much term insurance we should have? So if a person is below 40 years, whatever the annual income he is having, he must have the 20 times of his income. In between 40 to 50 years of age, he must have 15 years of his annual income. And above 50 years, it's roughly around 10 times of his income. Not exactly 10 times, it can be having more, but it's a roughly. And a premium, generally, it is definitely all these is one year without having any medical, I mean to say, any comorbidities. So one crore, it's roughly come around 30 to around 31,000. And with we can make it as a EMI or something kind of a thing. There is one more thing is recently come is Married Women's Property Act. So this you can keep in mind whenever you are buying one insurance. So Married Women Property Act is a act in which whenever a person buys, a husband buys any insurance, a mediclaim or anything, or even the term insurance. So Married Women Property Acts safeguards a woman in terms that the complete beneficiary of that insurance will be his wife, including the children. And the person's mother and father will not have a benefit of that. So whenever you buy the insurance, have this, keep this in mind as well while buying an insurance. Now, what are the checklists you should think while buying a term insurance? So always think about the claim settlement ratio. Study it carefully, and whenever you buy the insurance with the term insurance, it's earlier you buy, lower the premium.
Yes.
As the age advances, the insurance premium increases. And always declare all your diseases, even you are smoker, non-smoker, drinker, whatever the illnesses you have, because post your death, if you have paid so much of premium and your if you haven't disclosed any of your illness, it may increase your there are the chances that your entire term insurance may get rejected. So whatever the premium you have paid along all these years may get vested. And a term cover generally is recommended till the retirement age. Now there are many terms insurance which are even beyond that also. As a doctor, we don't have any retirement age, but the term insurance is definitely the first insurance we always should have. Then second is the life insurance, the life coverage, the disease. So this life insurance is the health insurance, is the insurance which provide us insurance against all the diseases as well as the disabilities. Now there are multiple health insurance. You can check out online and offline as well. And I generally recommend you should go for online term insurance, because right now the premium is quite low. It's not necessary that we should have one agent in between. Of course, all of you are doctors, so you know, even including our we our hospitals also do a lot of thing for our patients, but many of doctors I have seen that they don't have their personal health insurance. So it's always must have an insurance. Whatever the things you have to check while buying an insurance is like, it should not have a co-pay. You always check a room rent, what your insurance offering, the waiting period for the chronic diseases. There are multiple chronic diseases which have a waiting period of 2 to 3 years, like arthritis, like some cardiac elements. Even some insurance cover the past illnesses as well, but they give a waiting period of 1 or 2 years. So always look into the terms and condition, find out what is the waiting period, do some study, find out which insurance has a low waiting period, go for it, even though it has some minor increased policy. And then pre and post hospitalization care. Some insurance give 1 month pre-care, some give 2 month pre-care, some month give post hospitalization care of 2 months, some give 3 months. So always check into that, and check policy rotational benefit. Sometimes if you shift from one policy to other, so your benefit get entirely depleted. It is like starting one newer policy, but always there are some policies which gives this benefit. So go into detail, think about it, study about it. There are some insurance which is now giving daycare treatments, and some of them even giving the OPD treatment as well, and no claim bonuses, and some alternative treatment as well. Now, as our other thing is like, you should have a personal accident cover along with your car insurance. Most of the car insurance gives personal accident coverage as a rider benefit. So go in detail and check out all the things. And now Even a critical illness, the critical illnesses is also majorly means these critical illnesses. I have seen some of the doctors who not being covered into the critical illnesses, and their investment, their major savings are gone into these critical illnesses. We always think that we are a doctor and we have a hospital backup, but sometimes our illnesses go into that stage that we have to shift to the tertiary care hospital, we have to shift to some costly hospitals, and in a corporate setup, in a costly hospital, the bills are beyond our imaginations, and we nobody will think of that their saving should get depleted in all these critical illnesses. So always think about the critical illness cover as well. And then the last one is we should always cover our profession, the professional indemnity. Right now in India, the uses of professional indemnity is not that much, but as the culture is changing, as the patient's point of view are changing, right? Even you must have seen so many news coming, so many WhatsApps are coming that some people have sue a doctor, something has happened, something. So always cover your profession, always have a professional indemnity. AMC have a very good professional indemnity, which is not only giving a coverage to the insurance to the profession, but along with insurance, AMC provide an added benefit of giving a advice along with a professional expert of a team of lawyer is also take care of your case. You don't need to pay anything extra for it. It is included in that AMC indemnity, which is a very beneficial thing of the AMC professional indemnity. And I definitely recommend each and everyone must have the professional indemnity. Start from you can have a word with office, AMC office regarding more details of professional indemnity. And this is the must having professional coverage. So this is all about. So hope I have covered almost all the risk factors and risk planning for a doctor, which doctors should have in their risk coverage. Thank you so much. So I'm handing over to Pranav. Pranav.
Thank you, Dr. Rahul, for the insightful talk on risk management. I would like to introduce Ms. Nehal Mota now to take over from Rahul, Dr. Rahul, and speak on goal planning.
Thank you so much, Pranav. I would like to thank Dr. Narendra Dedia for such a wonderful opening on the cash flow. And, I really like that concept of the first child, second child. I have one son, and I am already working on the second financial child, if not a physical child. So
Nehal, all the best.
Thank you so much. And thanks, Dr. Rahul. I guess you covered every single aspect on risk management, whether it was personal, assets, and even indemnity. So it was a very wonderful, detailed presentation. So today I bring something very unique for everyone, right? When I go to doctors and I tell them that I'm not feeling well, so what the doctor does, कि नेहल ये लो ये टेस्ट करा के लेकर आओ, and when the test report will come, I will do the diagnosis and I'll tell you how your health is. So today I want the doctors to take a financial health checkup. So Pranav, if we can have the slide, and even if we can have like the link posted, where I will want everyone just scan this QR code image and just take a small test. It will not even take you 3-4 minutes to do this. But once you finish answering the questions, you all will get like a score, a fitness score out of 20. Some people may score 16, some may score 9, 10, some may score 12. Then I'll help you interpret, how do you interpret your financial health. So I'll request a pause, scan the QR code image, which you can see on the screen, and even in the chat, we will have the link. Just click on the link and take it will take you less than a few minutes to actually take this financial fitness test. I'm like pausing in for a few minutes, for you all to respond to all the questions which are there in the quiz. So let's together, see how financially fit we are. So I think once a few of y'all have finished taking the, financial health checkup, y'all can just put in the chat, done, done, done. So when I see a lot of done, I will like move on to the next aspects where we will discuss why you scored what and how do you improve on your financial fitness score. For people who are not able to scan this image, in the chat box, there is a link. You can click on the link and take the same test. So this was like, a surprise for everyone, something which is like—
Nehal, when I click on the link is not opening up, at least for me. I don't know.
Okay. Pranav, can you post the link again?
He has, but even
the QR scan is not working?
I don't have a QR scanner in my thing.
I tried. It did not.
Okay. The QR scan, you have to scan from the Google Lens. So it works from the Google Lens.
And if it's an iPhone, you can directly use your camera.
Not able to do that.
Okay, we'll send you a link separately, ma'am. It's a very interesting financial quiz. I think a couple of people are responding that the QR scan is working for them. So
send it on our Fincon group if you can.
Yeah,
I've done it, ma'am. You can check.
Okay. It's opening here. This date of birth thing is so crazy. It is 2023. Say, I'm 67 tak kaise jaungi?
Click on the year.
It will
directly take you to 67. Click on the
year.
year.
No year. On the phone, there is no option of year. I have to go on the arrows only.
No, there is up.
That.
About there is an option of year.
Okay. Yeah, on the 2023,
yes.
You have to click.
23, you just click, you will directly go to your year.
Okay. Yeah. I got that.
For people who have finished the quiz, I think a lot of people are writing that we have finished the quiz. So I will request that you all can keep posting the score. So we know generally on an average, what are people scoring? It could be 10 on 20. It could be like 8 on 20, 12 on 20. And then I'll tell you which is a cutoff score, which is very good. Your financial health is already in a very good state. Some of them are writing that we are not able to open the QR code. So I will say that in the link, there is a link in the chat. You can click that link also. And unable to fix date of birth, go to 2023, where the year is mentioned, and click there. There you will be able to, directly go to the year of your birth. So just click on 2023, on the top. Oh, great. I can see a lot of scores coming in already. 8 out of 20, 5 out of 20, 7, 3 out of 20. It's a very, very simple and a very easy quiz to actually get a glimpse of your financial health. Okay, I guess someone has posted the highest score so far, which is 13 out of 20. I think when most of you are done, we will take the next part, and it will be very interesting. I did not receive score. No problem. In the backend, we would have got the data. We will email you a complete diagnostic report. Everyone who has taken the quiz will get a diagnostic report that out of the 6 pillars which we discussed, which is the area of personal finance where you need to work on and you need improvement. So a certified financial planner will help you explain your score and explain your financial health and what needs to be done to improve this score going forward. Okay, great. So I think someone has mentioned 10 out of 20, 5 out of 20.
I'm also in the critical zone. All right, Nihal.
Yeah.
Basically, because I honestly did not know my percentages. So मैंने बस डाल दिया देखने के लिए कि report कैसे बना रही हो आप. Okay, but I'm very sure I'm not in the very critical phase. And luckily, I have appointed Finovate as my advisor very, very recently.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to do better in your next quiz.
No. In fact, I think you're with us and you will be like 16 or 18 out of 20 is what we can assure, because people who started this journey 7 years or 10 years back, right now they are on 18 on 20 or 16 on 20. The financial health has improved so much over a period of time. And like I said, financial fitness is not a one-time thing. Today, I did a financial plan and I'm in a great fitness. It is a work in progress. So even if you work with us, it takes us 12 months to actually fix every area and take you to a score above 16 or 18. Okay, great. So I think a lot of people are writing that they're scoring 13 on 20, I guess 12 on 20 and all that. That is a very, very good score. This was a very impromptu financial fitness quiz, and y'all didn't even get time to think about the questions. So impromptu, if people are getting 13 on 20, oh wow, 15 on 20, this is the highest so far. I cannot see your name. It's showing me Zoom user 15 on 20. It will be great if we can know your name. It will be inspiring to others. Okay, for people who are writing that they did not receive the score, it could be some technical error. We will send you a diagnostic report, after the session. Okay, great. So I think a lot of people have taken the test and I am seeing a lot of scores already. Maybe we'll just give a minute more and then I'll take you to exactly what this whole financial fitness test was all about. We actually compiled this for Fincon 3 because it was a session on personal finance, and what best way for us to talk to doctors is get them to do a diagnostic check about their own financial health. So this is what we learned from doctors.
Nihal, my request to you would have been that you should have posted this before, so all of us would have really done our homework and come, and we could have gotten our actual reports. Because abhi to humne bas pheka pheki kar di hai.
But it is to be like that. Like when I go to a doctor and he just asks me random questions and ek test lene ke liye bolte hain. I don't have to prepare myself for that test.
He ask you random questions.
Nihal, is it a kind of a revenge?
Questions, and your tests are also indicated tests. So do not compare your quiz with our quiz when you come to our office. We are trained over the years to ask you specific questions.
Dr. Rahul.
Yeah, I just wanted to add here one point, very important point Nehal has raised, that it doesn't come in a day or two. And that's what I wanted to pass on the message, that when we talk about the financial jugaad or financial knowledge or so on, that you don't expect within a half an hour of the lecture or 3 hours of the seminar what we are doing, you will understand everything. Like medical study, we spend about 8 to 10 years or 12 years. And then you become an expert, and then you add on experience, and then you become a still more better and better person. Similar way in the financial world also, every day is the learning. So yes, what Nehal said is very important, that it may take a year or more and more.
Okay,
Rightly
great.
said,
So
sir.
I think a lot of y'all have posted. I think you were saying something, Dr. Rahul.
No, I was saying, sir, Dedia sir has rightly said, quite rightly said, the financial thing is not a one-time thing. It has to be like a same way, even what you have suggested. It is just like for doing some fitness, you have to keep on doing some practice or some healthy activity every day. Looking towards the finance also is at least not every day, but at least in 15 days or in a month, we should keep on looking towards our portfolio or looking towards the finance. That is what has to be done. And
Great.
second,
So I think a lot of people have taken the quiz. Someone who didn't get the scores, click the link, go ahead with your test from the backend. We will provide you a complete diagnostic report. So moving on, Pranav, can we just go to now, what was this whole fitness quiz about? And I will interpret it. And I think at the end of this, most of the personal finance will be clear to people. So the first question was, do you know your net worth today? So, I meet a lot of doctors, and specifically I meet a lot of women, and I'm not saying doctors, like in my MBA batch and in the women entrepreneurs program, I meet a lot of women. And when I ask them, they say, oh, finance, we leave it to our husband or we leave it to our fathers or brothers, they are really, really very scared to actually talk about finances. In fact, I feel very surprised that I met so many women entrepreneurs in the IMB women entrepreneurs batch. They're so skilled to make crores and crores of rupees, but not confident to manage their money. So I told them that just go home and do this one exercise, write down all your assets, which is in your name, not something which is in your father's name. On paper, show me that what kind of assets are in your name. Do you have the house in a joint name with your husband or with your dad? Do you have all the financial asset investments in your name? So can you prove me on paper that what are your assets, and on paper what are your liabilities? So what is net worth? Net worth is nothing but your assets minus your liabilities. Okay, so whatever is the net assets, that is your net worth. And everyone should know at all point of time on paper what is their net worth. It should not be in the mind. It should not be, oh, my husband knows my net worth, or the net worth is in his name and I don't know what is on papers for me. So this is not what is right. Every individual, you all go home today, put all your assets on paper, put all your liabilities, and please find out what your net worth is today. It could be 3 crores, 5 crores, 10 crore, 20 crore. It could be any number. And when I say net worth, it includes your real estate. It includes gold or bullions. It includes financial assets like equity, mutual fund, shares, all that. It includes debt, which is your FD, PPF, and all that. Okay, so a combination of all this is your net worth. So if you did not know your net worth, you lost 1 point in this quiz. Go next, Pranav.
Nihal, one point I would really want to put here. You were very right when you said that women don't know their financial values and their assets, and they are so dependent on their husbands. Let me give you a word of caution over here, because I'm a gynecologist and I keep talking to women day in, day out. Believe me, you need to be financially stable. Women just have to be financially independent. Marriage is a very dicey situation, and do not leave your finances on somebody else. Take it back into your hands and be independent.
Exactly. I think that is what is very right, that, in your NSDL, CDSL, the share should be in your name. The mutual fund should be in your name. The properties, you should be, if it's joint properties, you should have your name. So, a lot of time, like in my own family, a very close family, the entire properties and all is in the name of the father-in-law. And the lady doesn't have anything on her name. I said, what happens if something goes wrong to your husband? Your marriage is very rock solid, but if something happens to him, and if there is no asset which the family has given you after 20 or 25 years of marriage, what is this on paper? There is nothing. Okay, so I will say that don't take these things very lightly. On paper, go and find out today what is your net worth. So I've given that net worth is cash, investments, properties, all assets minus your liabilities. It is a measure of person's financial health and is used to assess the ability to meet financial goals. So I will say the first thing in financial health is to know your net worth. net worth can be positive, negative. So if you have more liabilities than assets, your net worth could also be negative. So a lot of people have very negligible financial assets, but they have very high loans. Okay, that means a negative net worth, and that is where they need risk management. They need a huge amount of term insurance policy to cover that liabilities which are more than their assets. Go next, Pranav. The next question which we had is that how much have you put aside as your emergency fund? So I will say that in COVID, I was very closely working with a lot of doctors, and suddenly people who were not working for COVID, okay, their OPDs had come to a standstill all of a sudden. And then I was getting calls from people that we have EMIs. Can I redeem my mutual funds? Can I stop my SIPs? So there was like this whole panic. Okay, so I just asked them that don't you have an emergency fund that in case for certain reason you fall sick, or there is a COVID kind of a situation, or there could be anybody else in the family who's sick and you cannot attend your work for 3 months or 6 months because you are actually looking at that person. So in that case, you need to have an emergency fund at all points of time. Okay, what is an emergency fund? It is your 6 to 12 months of expenses. When I mean by expenses, say if you're running your hospital, then whatever is your hospital expenses, whatever are your EMIs, whatever are your house running expenses. 12 months, if I don't go to work for whatever reason, can I actually meet all my expenses without breaking my long-term investments or long-term commitments? That is an emergency fund. So we will suggest that all of you all should have 6 to 12 months of your expenses in a liquid fund or in a fixed deposit, which you can break at any point of time in case of a financial emergency. Okay, so people who have scored that they don't have 6 to 12 months of their expenses in emergency fund, they would have lost 1 point in this quiz. Okay, going forward. The third question is that what percentage of monthly income do you save regularly? Okay, so this is a question which Dr. Narendra Dedia had covered, that you earn, then you save, and then whatever is left you spend. Okay, a lot of us, we earn, we spend, and then if something is left, we save. So that has to change. I will say whatever is your monthly income, if you are saving more than 30% of your income, you would have scored the highest points. If you do not save regularly, you would have got a minus point. And if you're saving anywhere between 10 to 30%, it is okay. India's national saving rate is 30%. So out of our GDP of 3 trillion or plus, whatever is the GDP growth, we Indians save 30% of our income. So that is our national savings rate. So you as doctors should try and be above the national savings rate of 30%. So if you are earning 100, save 30, whatever 70 is left, you manage all your expenses between that. So I will summarize this question, that the income rule is 50% of your money should go for needs. And what I mean by needs, I mean needs is like electricity payment, food, clothing, all your basic needs. 30% can go in wants. What do I mean by wants? A luxury car, maybe a luxury vacation and all that. These are wants. Even if that is not there, you can live. And at least 20 to 30% should be in savings. So just follow this thumb rule, which is the income rule. 50% needs, 20 to 30% for wants, and 20 to 30% for savings. Go and look at your cash flows and see that are you following this? The second rule, right, like Dr. Dedia said, that income minus savings should be your expenses, and not income minus expenses should be your savings. So this is one thumb rule. Identify what is need on which you have to spend money. Okay, so a lot of time when I talk to people and I look at their cash flow and I look at like budgets and income and expenses, I understand that most of the money is going for wants. It is not for needs, even if they didn't do that. So they are actually spending on wants, but they don't have enough money to save. Okay, so analyze that what you're spending your money, is it absolutely a need, or is it a want which you can postpone after you're saving if money is left? Okay, so whatever you earn, you should spend on needs, get into a habit of saving, and eventually wants and luxuries can come later. So this was a question 3, that get into a habit of saving.
Nehal, can I add here, interrupt for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
It's an extremely important point Nehal has raised. One was during net worth, and second was the right now what she is talking about, the spending and habit of saving. In net worth, Nehal, what you said that was very important, that especially the females entrepreneur or doctors, many times they become emotional. And emotional means once they are growing, child is growing, they want to transfer the money on the child's name. When the child is not earning also, transfer the asset on the child name. So don't make the emotional things along with your financial decision. Financial decision, business decision should be separate and your emotional decision will be separate. So here one thing we must learn that emotions and the financial decisions should not be combined. And second thing, what you said, that while budgeting, I didn't mention that, but while you are doing the budgeting, if you start at age of 30, by age of 50, your passive income, your whatever the event you made, and now, as our secretary also said, that ultimately what money you park, later on your money should earn for you. So your passive income becomes much bigger than your regular income. So that will be important, and that's what your financial advisor also can help you, that how your passive income becomes more than your actual income. Thank you, Nehal. Just continue.
Yeah. So now moving on to the next question, which was there in the financial fitness test. Pranav, can we go to the next slide? The fourth question was that, have we planned our taxes well? Okay, so I have been meeting a lot of doctors in Bombay, in interiors of Maharashtra. There was one seminar which happened in near Shirdi very recently, and I traveled there, and a lot of doctors walked up to me and said that our biggest issue is that if we earn 100 rupees, then we have less in white or in the bank account, and there is a lot of cash which we are generating, and that is the reason we cannot make investments. So I will say that this is a very big problem outside the metro city. So I see a lot of people have joined right now from Aurangabad, from a lot of other places. I will say that don't get scared to pay your taxes. Whatever income you generate, whether in check or in cash, deposit everything in the bank account. And why you should deposit in the bank account? If you have anything to take away from today's webinar, then the next slide is very important, and that is what you need to take away. So just moving on, that I have just given an example of one doctor who earns 100 rupees. He does not believe in paying taxes because he feels that 33 rupees tax dena is pinching me, okay? And what he does with that 100 rupees, he either gives it to friend or family members and earns vyaj. व्याज जो बोलते हैं टिपिकल लैंग्वेज में, मुझे वहां डॉक्टर्स बोल रहे थे हम लोग को 1% व्याज मिलता है या ½ व्याज मिलता है, और दे गिव इट टू डेवलपर्स thinking के developers will give them like some interest and they will give them some properties and all. So one of the doctors actually walked up to me and said that I did so much blunder. I gave money to so many people. Half पैसे मुझे 1% व्याज पे वापस मिले, half में तो मेरा principal भी चला गया. So net so I asked him, what is a compounding return which your cash money generated? And he said that there is no question of compounding return. Okay. So I just put an example that there is a doctor who earns 100 rupees. Pranav, you can take to the cursor where I'm talking. So he's earning 100 rupees. He does not believe in paying taxes, and he invests that 100 rupees at 9%. He bought gold, or he gave it to friends, he gave it to developers, and he's earning a 9% compounding return. Then what happens after 25 years? At the rate of 9% compounding after 25 years, his money is 862 rupees. This 862 rupees is black money. He cannot do anything about it. Okay, so just to save a 33 rupees tax, on 100 rupees, he has made his future money of 862 rupees black. Now he will have sleepless nights. There can be like this whole tax sword which is lying on his head for 25 years because he tried to save that 33 rupees tax. Now there is another doctor who believes that I will be 100% white. I don't want to get into this jhanjat of, managing cash, check and all that. I want to sleep peacefully. So on that 100 rupees, he pays 33 rupees tax. He is left with 67 rupees. Now that 67 rupees, he invests wisely and he earns 15% compounding returns. So after 25 years, that 67 rupees becomes 2,200 rupees. This 2,206 rupees is white money. Okay. Can you see the foolishness of not paying taxes? The 862, because you can, cash money cannot compound at more than 9 to 10%. because in some you will win, some you will lose. So eventually a CAGR or a compounding return of more than 9 to 10% is not possible. And that 862 rupees of future, even if some developer is good or your friend is good or whatever, he gives you that interest, but your future value 862 is black money. You cannot do anything about it. Okay, but if a person pays that 33% tax and he invests that 67 rupees wisely, 2,206 rupees is the white capital which he has generated in 25 years. So I will say one thing which you want to take away from today's webinar on financial fitness and financial literacy is, don't get worried to pay taxes right now in the budget. You all have got a limit of 75 lakhs under section 44 ADA. There are, ATC limits, plus there are up to 15 lakh very negligible tax, so the tax provisions are not what it was past, where 50% of your income would get taxed. Right now, if you plan taxes well in your name, your spouse's name, in your HUF file, if your children are major, some income in their name, if you plan taxes well, then your tax outgo is not even 10 to 15%. It is not even 33%. If planned well, it will not be more than 10-20%. Pay that 10-20% of taxes, make everything white, and look at the future value of that white capital. It will be tremendous. And one more point which I want to draw to you, just look at this year 7 and year 10. If someone has not paid taxes and that 100 rupees is compounding at 9%, then in the end of 7 years, it is 183 rupees. And that money on which you paid tax 33%. That at the end of 7 years is 178. So after 7 years, your post-tax paid money will beat the money on which you did not pay tax. Okay. And it is just a 6-7 year. If you invest your post-tax paid money rightly, it will overtake your non-tax paid money, and eventually, you will have a very huge white capital. If you have that much white capital, your children can go abroad to study, you can get loans for growth, you will have a great CIBIL score, and most importantly, you will sleep peacefully without getting into all this jugglery of, cash, check, taxation and all that. Okay, so this is a very important for people who had written that we have not planned our taxes well. You lost your maximum points over here. And I will say tax planning is not tax evasion. What you need is tax planning, and financial planning. Tax planning is a very important part. So I will say that if you have any doubts that I'm not filing my entire income properly, there is a scope for saving taxes by doing tax planning properly, then we will be putting a link at the end of today's session. You please book a financial planning session. It will change or help you save a lot of money on taxation itself. Moving on. The next question is that what percentage of my monthly income goes towards paying your EMI? So a lot of time in many forums, when I make presentations, people walk up to me and they say, okay, we bought a 5 crore house or a 8 crore house. And if they're earning 100 rupees,
Can I interrupt you
60,
for a minute?
Yeah, Dr. Rahul.
Yes. Once you right now said about the tax planning, so most of our, the accounts are unaudited account. So we have one provision right now. I know many of the doctors must be knowing. There is a provision called 44 ADA.
Yes.
In which we can, the doctor or the professionals like a CAs, doctors and other professional can directly pay 50% of, declare their white income as a 50% and they have to just pay 50% of their declared income. So that can be used. Those who want to use that 40.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful provision, and now the limit has gone up from 50 to 75 lakh.
Right,
so imagine the amount of income which can go up if planned very well.
Right, absolutely true. That is what I want to say. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So now when I walk up to these forums, so a lot of people come and tell me I bought like a big house and my EMI is like 60-70% of my income. Okay, so they do this calculations where they go so heavy on property without understanding that what percentage of your income should go in loan repayment, or it should go like what amount of, or what value of house or hospitals should you buy for you to be in the comfortable limit. So the question was that what percentage of your monthly income goes towards paying your EMI? So for people who have written that they have greater than 50% going towards EMI, that is where they have lost maximum points. We, from the financial planning perspective, say that if you're earning 100 rupees, your EMI should be only 30%. So I'll give you an example that if one doctor earns, for example, 10 lakh rupees, it's just a very random number. Okay, then maximum EMI he should pay is 30% of his income, which is 3 lakh rupees. Now 3 lakh rupees is the EMI. So what is the value of a set which he can buy? So EMI, generally 100 times of that. So he can have actually, a house or a clinic where EMI is restricted to 25,000 a month. So I guess 25 or 30 lakh property, 10 lakh, he can make his own down payment. That EMI will be about 25,000 a month. So he should not take a real estate where his outflow of income, so his EMI is more than 30%. So this is how he should do the calculation. So if some doctor is earning 1 crore, just again a very random number, then up to 30 lakh rupees he can pay EMI. So now do the backward calculation. 30 lakh is 3 lakh a month. So 3 lakh a month ki EMI mein kaun si property aa sakti hai? What is the loan amount? And generally 20% you should make your own down payment, and 80% you can opt for loan. So you can go for a property where 80% of that loan, the EMI is within 30% of your income. So that is what is the question on EMIs. This is how you should take the decision that you should not be too leveraged. Less than 30% is good. When husband and wife both are working, then 40 to 50% of their income, if it goes in EMI, it is still okay because it's a joint income. But anything above 50% is too high. You will end up actually only earning money to pay your EMIs. And EMI is nothing but you're paying compound interest to the bank. Okay, so don't be over leveraged. Now, a lot of doctors walk up and say, okay, we have hospital loan, we have like personal loans, equipment loans, home loans. We are not able to manage. There are so many loans. How do we become debt free very fast? So we have mentioned two methods, the loan avalanche method and the loan snowball method. So in the loan avalanche, you make minimum payments on all the loans and then use the money to pay the loan with high interest rate. So what does this mean? That you have a personal loan, you have equipment loan, you have a loan against property, and you have a home loan. Now, out of the 4 loans, the most expensive is a personal loan. Okay, but you need to pay minimum EMIs in all your loans. So pay minimum EMIs in all your loan. Then whatever additional money you have, you pay in the loan which has the highest interest, which is a personal loan. And that way, complete paying off the high interest loan the first. That is called as a loan avalanche method. Now, what is a loan snowball method? In that loan snowball method, instead of having 4-5 EMIs, the loans where you have very little outstanding left, first clear all that low outstanding loans and then focus on that big 1 or 2 big loans. In fact, if need be, you restructure your loans in such a way that you have a personal loan, you have equipment loan, you have small loans. Pay off all that, just take a one bigger LAP or, loan against property or something, because that is a cost efficient. Against a collateral, you're taking a loan, the interest rate is very low. So these are the methods in which you can pay your loans fast and you can become debt free. Moving on to the next slide. The next question was, how much is the family health insurance or Mediclaim? So a lot of people were asking me in the comment that is Mediclaim and health insurance the same? It is one and the same. But at times when I talk to doctors, a lot of them tell me कि हमारे friends तो doctors है ना, तो हम लोगों को OPD के पैसे नहीं लगते हैं, हमको इसके नहीं लगते हैं. And they have health insurance cover of 5 lakh, 8 lakh, 10 lakh. Let me tell you this, it is not enough. I have right now been in touch with a lot of doctors who had terminal illnesses, and they have ended up spending anywhere between 25 to 50 lakh rupees of money on treatments, various treatments. I had some doctors who couldn't get treated in India and they had to go to US or somewhere for treatments, and that ran in lakhs and crores. So don't be in a myth that हमारे friends doctors हैं तो हमको OPD के नहीं लगने वाले, तो 5 lakh, 8 lakh, 10 lakh cover is enough. It is not enough for us who are non-doctors, but definitely even for doctors, that is less. Now, so how do you understand what should be the Mediclaim you should have? So we say that at least whatever is your annual expense, say if my lifestyle is such that my annual expenses are 12 or 15 lakh rupees, then my Mediclaim should be 12 to 15 lakh. If I am a doctor whose lifestyle is very high, I'm spending 25, 30 lakhs a year, then my Mediclaim cover should be 25, 30 lakhs a year. Why? Because my lifestyle is such, if there is an illness, I will go to that kind of a hospital. I will expect that kind of an ambience, that kind of services. And it may happen that I'm a frequent flyer abroad and I would want to get myself treated abroad. Then you need to have cover at least 12 months of your expenses. Okay, that's ideal. So people who have written that we have Mediclaim less than 50% of annual expenses, that is where you have lost your score. Just moving ahead. can we go to the next question, Pranav? Okay, so Dr. Rahul has already spoken about it, that not only the health insurance, but you need to plan for disease, which is your mediclaim, and your critical illness cover, disability, which is your personal accident cover, death, which is a term insurance, and emergencies, like I said, 6 to 12 months of your expenses in a fixed deposit or in a liquid fund for emergency. So if you have done all this, your risk planning is done to the T. You know, God forbid anything happens to you, family will be protected at all points of time. Just next slide. Okay, next slide. I think we have already spoken about this. Yeah. So Dr. Rahul did discuss that term insurance is important. So the question comes that how much term insurance? So he showed one slide that if someone is less than 40 years of age, whatever is the annual income, if the annual income is 10 lakh, then 20 times of that, 2 crore is a term insurance needed. If the annual income is 20 lakh, then 4 crores. Okay, so that is a thumb rule. But we say that you know, anything greater than 10 times of your annual income is a great term insurance cover to have, and that is like the must. So in your scoring, if you would have mentioned that I don't have a term life cover or I have a term cover less than 10 times my annual income, that is where you would have lost your score on the financial health checkup. Just next, Pranav. Okay, next, we already discussed this. Okay, so the next question is, what amount have you set aside for retirement funds? So when I talk to doctors, they say we don't retire. There's no retirement age. We work till 70, 75. Till, you know, if they are surgeons, till, you know, their hands are not shivering and, you know, everything is fine, they keep on working. So we say that retirement is not retiring from work. Like Dr. Narendra Dedia said, that you have one active income and there is one passive income. So active income is only when you go to work, you earn that income. Passive income is that even if you don't go to work or you go to work for less number of hours or for a certain reason, you didn't go to your OPD today, still that day's income is not compromised. You are earning some income, that is passive income. Okay, so the question was that have you set aside funds for retirement? So I ask a lot of doctors that what do you think, what is a corpus you will need for your retirement? So they don't have any idea. So I asked them that what kind of monthly income, if you get, you think, you know, if you don't go for a OPD 1 day, 2 day, few months, it is okay. So someone tells me that if I get 1 lakh rupees a month, fixed every month for my life, I'm in a comfortable position. Then even if my OPD drops or if I don't go to work or if there's any issue, I can maintain my lifestyle. Okay, so that is the retirement fund we are talking about. That have that number in mind, that what kind of a monthly income you are comfortable to maintain your lifestyle. Okay, anything above that is good, but anything below that, if you have not created a corpus which can generate you a steady monthly income from the age 60 or 65, then please relook that and please, you know, plan for that kind of, you know, retirement plan. So how do you plan that? I'll just give you a small example. Say if your whatever is the current amount of the goal, like you say, okay, I want 1 lakh today, then you have to add inflation to that 1 lakh. Then you will get the future value. Say today is 1 lakh. After, say if I'm 40 years of age today and I want today's 1 lakh rupees for my life from the age 60. So at 60, today's 1 lakh will become 5 lakh because money will depreciate, inflation will get added. So I will need today's 1 lakh. Tomorrow it will be 5 lakh a month. So I need to create a corpus which would be 8 crores, 10 crores, 5 crores, whatever. That corpus, if I reach at the age of 60, it will generate me a inflation adjusted 1 lakh rupees of today's income. So how do you do goal planning? You write down the current amount of the goal as if the goal was today. You add inflation. Yeah, you can go on the illustration. That will be easy for people to understand. Yeah, so illustration, current monthly income needed is 1 lakh. The current age of the person is 45. They need to replace this income by the age of 60. Then they need to create a target fund of 5.5 crores. So anybody right now in this webinar who is 45 and he says that I need 1 lakh rupees of monthly income from my age of 60. So he has 15 years, right? So he needs to reach at the age of 60, he has to collect 5.5 crores. How will he collect 5.5 crores? He will have to, you know, so today's 1 lakh will be 3 lakh at that time. So he needs to make an investment of 67,000 per month. So all doctors on this chat today who are in the age of 45, 46, if they start saving 67,000 every month for the next 15 years, when they turn 60, they will get 1 lakh rupees of today inflation adjusted. So today's 1 lakh at 60 will become 3 lakh. They will get 3 lakh. Then at 61, it will become 3 lakh plus or 4 lakh plus, like that. Whatever is the amount inflation adjusted, they will keep getting. So the amount of investment required is 67,000 per month. Total investment of 1.2 crore over a period of 15 years, will generate them a corpus of 5.5 crores. Now that 5.5 crore they have in their name, and they have to put it at the age of 60 in some debt instrument, which will give them 1 lakh rupees of regular income. Now at 60, they can decide they want to do OPD, they want to reduce practice. They want to practice socially. I know of one doctor who is on this panel today, and I have seen him not practice for money for the last 10 years because he has reached financial freedom. He has a passive income which can maintain his lifestyle for the lifetime. And I see him treating so many patients, for free or at some nominal cost, because he has reached that financial freedom, and now he is serving the society in such a right way. I will not name that doctor. I think he's already on the panel, and a lot of you all will know about him. What financial freedom really can do and how you can help the society once you reach this. And, at Finovate, we are really, really passionate about working with the medical fraternity and with doctors, because doctor-patient ratio is very less. It is in our interest that we get more and more doctors financially free by the age of 60, 65, so that their next 10, 15 years can be useful to the society, and they can serve a lot of patients without being worried about actually earning anything. Even if they don't earn, they will maintain the lifestyle, and their services can be of great help to the society. And so we are really very passionate of being in this, medical fraternity, and push people towards doing financial planning and achieve that financial freedom and that net worth at 60, so that their time can be used for the society. Moving on. Next. The next question was that what percentage of your annual savings you regularly invest in equity mutual funds or PMS? Okay, so people who have written that less than 30% goes towards equity, or I will say growing assets, would have lost points. And people who have written between 30 to 60% or more than 60% of their money is invested in equity, they would have scored the maximum point. So going on, why this is important. So for all of us, including me, you, anybody, we just have 4 asset classes to invest. Like when I go to doctors and they evaluate my diet, they just said it is carbohydrates, it is protein, it is fat, which is macronutrients. And then there are micronutrients. Okay. Same way, macro asset class is debt, which is fixed income, anything which gives fixed income. Then it is equity, which gives you like variable returns. It is bullion, it is your gold and silver, and last is your real estate. Okay. So in the long run, on a 25-year period, the debt of fixed deposits will always give you inflation plus 1%. So what are there in the debt category? It is bond, it is PPF, it is debentures, it is fixed deposits. All this are a part of debt, and in the long run, they will give you inflation plus 1%. In equity, it is mutual fund. You can buy direct shares. You can invest through PMS, AIF, private equity. This will give you inflation plus 7%. So a lot of time people come and ask me, okay, what will be the equity market return in the next 10 years or 15 years? Okay, so I will say the answer to that question is whatever is the GDP growth of the country. Right now, our India GDP is the fastest growing in the world. GDP is growing at 7-8%. So stock market will grow 2 times of GDP. So if GDP growth will drop to 6, stock market will give you 12. If GDP is 8, stock market will give you 16. 2x of GDP growth is what stock market will give you, or inflation plus 7%. So if you do inflation is 7%, 7 plus 7, 14. That will be the equity market return, or GDP growth rate into 2 will be the equity return. Okay, so in the long run, it is very important that you should invest in equity, because it gives you the highest return over a 25-year period. Bullion, the gold and silver, these are like I will say capital preservation assets. So debt and gold and silver are capital preservation. We don't invest in that to grow our money. We invest in that to preserve our money. Okay, so a lot of time, like in the last 5 years, equity markets was running one way. So a lot of people put all their money in equity market. That is also not right. You should put 80% of your money in growing assets, but 20 to 30% of your money should be in debt or in gold. to actually preserve capital. What if a very bad global phenomenon happens and you have an important goal in that year? Then in that case, your equity portfolio can be down 40-50%. At that time, you can go to debt or you can go to gold and liquidate and take your money out. So capital growing assets are important, but capital preservation assets, which is your gold and which is your debt, is equally important. And last but not the least, real estate. Real estate is like equity. It will give you phenomenal returns in 25-year period. It will give you inflation plus 3%, or like I said, whatever is the GDP growth rate, equity is 2 times of that. Your real estate is at least 1.5 times of the GDP growth rate. Okay, so this is how the 4 asset classes are there, and you should invest in all of them. And at least 70-80% of your money should be in growing assets, which is equity and real estate, and 20-30% of your money should be in debt and gold, silver, this kind of assets, which are capital preservation assets. Next. Pranav, can we go to the next slide?
Nehal,
Yeah.
can you please repeat that way?
Okay,
About how
the
much
previous
percentage?
slide.
The previous slide, please.
Okay, fine. So I will say that the 4 major asset class, everyone's money should be there in this.
Right.
How do you decide the asset allocation? 100 minus your age. So say if you are 40 years old, then 100 minus age is 60. 60%, at least 60% of the money should be in growing asset, which is equity and real estate. And the balance 40% can be in debt and gold, which is like your fixed deposits and your gold, silver and all. That is like, I'll say, an ideal asset allocation. But because you have many years to retire, like 20 years, if you have more than 8 years to retire, then I will change the asset allocation where 70-80% of my investable surplus, I will put it in equity and real estate. So how I will do it? 40% equity, 40% real estate, 10% fixed deposits and 10% gold. This is how I will ideally do my asset allocation. If someone does not want to do 40-40, do 35 equity, 35 real estate, maybe 15% in fixed deposit and 10% in gold. This is how you should allocate your money, where you're equally balanced in all asset class. And like macro, so like your carbohydrate, fat and protein, these are your 4 macro asset classes. And micronutrients is like either you do mutual fund or you do stocks or you do bond, you do PPF. These are the sub. Okay, so when you do a financial plan, your financial plan should cover all the 4 asset classes, and it should cover most of the sub asset classes. If you do it in this way, you will be financially fit throughout your life. Okay, moving on, next slide. Okay, in an emergency, I want everyone to ask this question. In an emergency, can your loved one access all your financial documents in under 30 minutes? Say if there was an emergency, suddenly I'm sitting here and I have a chest pain. Okay, can my family know where is my Mediclaim policy? Is there a card? Who is the person to contact in case of a medical emergency? Okay, if I don't know that, or my family cannot retrieve these documents in 30 minutes, then I think we need estate planning. And the next session, which Dr. Raichura and one of the experts is going to take, they will actually explain you that how you can prepare your family to access your financial documents in less than 30 minutes. Okay, so if you have written no, you have lost the maximum points. And this I have seen with most of the households, that if there is a financial emergency, really the family members don't know ki idhar kisko cash diya hai, where are our property documents, where are our insurance papers. If in case a claim has to happen, what is the process? Afterwards, the family has to really run helter and skelter. This is needed, that is needed. So I will say that hire a estate planning expert, and please, your entire family sit down and understand कि अगर ये term policy है, अगर कुछ होता है तो claim कैसे करना है, किसको contact करना है, what are the papers we will need ready. They should have a printout of that in your term insurance file. So people think, oh, this is like not important. ये कौन सोचता है कि something is going to happen to us. But believe you me, in the last 3 years, since COVID, I have handled so many mortalities in the doctor fraternity itself, and people who are healthy, fit and fine, all of a sudden, something happening that, we were like in a state of shock ourselves, how much we have to prepare that families to be ready with all the documents. So going to the next question.
Nehal,
question. Yes.
I just wanted to add in allocation. Yes, very rightly and broadly what the Nehal said is absolutely fine. Only thing that one thing, yes, we have to keep it in mind that allocation will be everybody's need may be different, everybody's choice may be different, everybody's attitude may be different. And also at the what stage of your financial. Tomorrow, if you have a more than 100 crore or 200 crore net worth, that time probably you will not like to have a 40% of the things in the real estate, or probably 30% in gold or silver. So probably this will be just a point I wanted to tell, that yes, it is a flexible things, and every time you have to reevaluate, think, and where you are comfortable. And for that, yes, your good financial advisor and giving and talking to them at the regular interval will help you to allocate how ideally you should do, and which way your asset or income or wealth can grow much better way. You have to think about that. Thank you, Nehal.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like you rightly said, I say the best asset allocation is the one which can make you sleep peacefully in the night. If investing in equity markets, you're going to get sleepless night, there is no point of investing in equity. So the best asset allocation is something which can give you a peaceful sleep, and something which is passive. You don't have to actively look at stock markets every day, look at the ups and downs. If you have done your financial plan, you really can invest passively in equity without having too much of anxiety. And like you rightly said, once you start building a lot of wealth, the asset allocation will keep on changing, because when you're growing your wealth, you need growing assets. When you already have a lot of wealth, you may need to move a lot of big amount of that wealth into capital preservation assets, something like fixed deposits or something like gold or government bonds and all that. So on what life stage you are, your asset allocation will depend on that life stage also. Okay, last but not the least, do all your assets and investments have nominees and beneficiaries? Okay, we have come across a lot of situations where certain amount of money was lying in PPF. There was not even like KYC updated in that PPF, no nomination in that PPF. If something were to happen to the person, family will not even know that they have so much money lying in PPF. Okay, so please, today, at the end of this FinCon is not just that we come and listen. It is also, with this quiz or this test, we wanted you to go and do a lot of homework yourself. Okay, so go today and make a list of all your assets, all your bank accounts, credit cards, mutual funds, your demat account, and go and check who are the nominee, who are the beneficiaries, and have you updated your KYC or not, which email ID, which mobile number is updated, because all this will be very handy in case if an emergency situation comes. So please go and do this exercise today. If you have written yes, you have scored points. If you have written partially, you have lost points. And if you have written no, there was negative marking. So a lot of you all scored 4 out of 20, 5 out of 20 because of a lot of negative marking. You didn't have answers to most of these questions. Okay, so next, moving on, Pranav. So I will say that it does not matter what your score is today. Okay, if you make a financial plan and you work on your financial plan, it will take you 1 to 3 years, but you will get a perfect 20 on 20. We can assure you in 2 to 3 years time. And once you do a financial plan, it will cover all the 6 aspects of personal finance or financial fitness, which I spoke about through various questions today. Okay, so go on next, Pranav. Okay, so I will summarize my today's talk on financial fitness. That have an emergency fund of 6 to 12 times of your monthly income. Save at least 15 to 30% of your income. Your EMI should not be more than 20 to 30% of your annual income. You should plan your taxes very well. If you plan your taxes well, then if you file 100% white income and plan well, then in 5 and 7 years, that money will really grow and become into a big white asset. Your health insurance should be 1 to 2 times your annual income. Your life insurance should be 10 to 20 times your annual income. Your retirement corpus, save today, you are spending 1 lakh rupees a month, 12 lakh rupees a year. Then your retirement corpus should be 50 times of your current expenses. Say, for example, that today I'm spending 12 lakh rupees a year. 12 into 50, 6 crore is the amount you need to collect for your retirement to maintain the same kind of a lifestyle. If someone is spending 50,000 a month, 6 lakh rupees, 6 lakh rupees year multiply by 50, 3 crore rupees he has to set aside for his retirement. 100 minus your age should be allocated to growing assets. You should check all your assets and investments for nominee and beneficiaries. And I want to conclude, there is no magic wand to creating wealth. Don't fall for tips. Don't go for trading derivatives. There are training programs which are telling doctors that if you do futures and options and if you do derivatives, you will earn more money in trading than in your practice. Okay, please don't fall for that myth. Already the patient-doctor ratio is very bad in the country. We need more doctors. We don't want doctors to waste time in stock market and in trading and all that. Passively, they can create wealth while focusing on their profession. So I will say, I always summarize my talk that wealth creation is three things. It is asset allocation, invest in all assets. Second is regular investing. You earn every day. So you invest and save every day. And third is power of compounding. Trading and futures and options and all that can earn you certain returns today, but it will not create wealth. Wealth creation happens over a period of time and it's long term. It is a power of compounding. So wealth creation ka the funda or the formula is ARC formula: asset allocation, regular investing, and power of compounding. Next, Pranav. So I will say, I'll conclude by just showing you, what is the magic or power of compounding. Pranav, can we go to the next slide? So what is power of compounding? Like, for example, just go to this. If you invest 1 lakh rupees at 8%, then the thumb rule is 72 divided by 8 is the number of years in which your money doubles. Okay, so if you invest 1 lakh rupees at 8%, it will become 2 lakhs in 9 years. It will become 4 lakhs in 18 years. It will become 8 lakh in 27 years and 16 lakh in 36 years. So 72 divided by the rate of return is in the number of years in which money doubles. Now, if I change this 8% to 15%, go to the left side, 72 divided by 15%, 5 years your money doubles. What does that mean? If you invested 1 lakh, it will become 2 lakh in 5 years. It will become 4 lakh in 10 years, 8 lakh in 15 years, and 16 lakh in 20 years. Now, imagine in 20 years, your 1 lakh rupees is becoming 16 lakh, 16 times. This is a power of compounding. And at the end of 15 years, it was only 8 times. Now 8 to 16 times. It took 15 years to become 8 times, but it took only 5 years from going 8 lakh to 16 lakhs. So the power of compounding is magical in the last 5 or 10 years. So a lot of time people keep investing. 15 years hota hai, fir bolte 8 times ho gaya, abhi nikal lo. But if you wait for 5 more years, that 8 lakh will become 16 lakh in the next 5 years. And that in 25 years, it will become 32 lakh, 32 times. So power of compounding from 15 years to 30 years is magical. If you have children, if they are 18 or 20, tell them to start doing SIPs right now. By the time they turn 50, it will become 32 times of what they have started today. It is magical. Okay. So I would want to leave you with the rule of 72. 72 divided by the rate of return is the number of years in which money doubles. There is an exponential effect of power of compounding from 15, 25, and 30 years. So keep on that discipline investing for that time. And with this, I will want to conclude my whole session on financial fitness and helping you interpret your own financial fitness and your own score. I think now, before me giving diagnostic report to everyone, you all would have interpreted where you lost points, where did you gain points, and which are the areas which you need to improve. Go to the next slide, Pranav.
Nehal, two important points which you have made here, and very, very important. That first is about the people are started doing trading and FNO. I don't want to name one of the very senior doctor, very reputed doctor, lost heavily, not only 2 to 5 lakhs, but more than 50 lakh rupees in FNO recently. Here, I don't want to give the name. And this is the last week only he came to me and talk about the what happened and how he lost. And as you rightly said, he has gone through that paid webinar of how to manage the trading and vagere vagere. And people says that don't have a financial advisor reading the books. I think here important is that you have a good financial advisor and you should not do the FNO. You concentrate on professional skill, which you are the best, and then create a good cash flow for the investment. And that will help you a lot to create a huge future and avoid trading, avoid FNO or doing that kind of gambling. And second important point, very rightly said, that invest at the early age. Simple thing, all of us must be knowing who is the Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett started investing at the age of 11, and his actual major income growth started after his age was 67 or 70 years. So that much time it took for that compounding effect or that T factor or time factor to give the wealth to become a really huge one. So that is very, very important. So that's why, in fact, looking at the Warren Buffett simple method of making money, Amazon chairman had asked once, Mr. Buffett, that your making wealth is so easy, why everybody is not following? And then simple answer he gave was very, very touching. Everybody doesn't want to become rich so slowly. Everyone thinks that once they put the money, tomorrow itself it will become, they should become a rich, and there they lose the money. So this is the important thing people to realize: should have a discipline, should have a patience, and let the money to grow. Thank you, Nehal.
Thank you so much. So this time we really tried to do something differently, that through a diagnostic, financial fitness, health checkup, we tried to convey, all important points in a very summary kind of a way, rather than just making speeches.
Yeah, you did well, really
to the
well.
point that
Congratulations.
what you are
did
supposed to
really
do.
well. Yeah, you did really well. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Nilima. I take a lot of inspiration from her. And I always seen her that she's very, very to the point. And she doesn't like कि वो boring बड़े lectures ऐसा. वो बोलो करना क्या है? हमको ये बताओ हमको करना क्या है? So this was in our head कि it should be like a Q&A and with very bullet point takeaway कि करना क्या है. Okay, so I think all over to Pranav back, and thank you so much, Dr. Nilima, for being very inspiring, and to the entire AMC committee and all of y'all. It was really, really nice sharing this whole concept of financial fitness with y'all. We have given a link. You can book a session and do a financial plan. I will say that today we are doing a complimentary financial plan for all of y'all. First cut-off plan, which will tell you that what do you need to be financially free. That we are doing complimentary for everyone. Otherwise, it's a paid plan where there is some pricing. You can just book this session, get that first cut of financial plan done through expert team of financial planners. So this is like a takeaway from my side for today's session. Thank you so much to the AMC team, Dr. Nilima, and all over to you, Pranav.
All right, since you've taken my name so many times, Nilima, I'm inspired to speak now. All right. See, my entire focus has always been on solutions to problems. Problems hai, humko malum hai, but people feel that we should sweep them under the carpet and go ahead and the problems will disappear. It does not happen. You have to go right through it and solve the problems and then see. What you rightly said and what Dr. Dedhe also rightly said is that our profession is to look after patients. The more of time we dedicate to our profession, that many number of patients you are going to have and your income is going to increase. The mistake that we do is that you earn the money, but you don't know how to invest it and how to get the passive income. And instead, what we do is we try and go into avenues that we don't know anything about. And we try and make a success of it. No, sir, you have studied medicine, stick to medicine, earn your money and give it to a financial planner. थोड़ा सा टक्कावारी वो लेते हैं, मुझे लगता है सबको हक है पैसे अर्न करने का in the right direction. The financial planner that you choose also should be proper, because it should not be something which is only to their advantage where they are getting a better percentage. So you need to sit and have a dialogue with your financial planner. Why this? Why not this? Why this percentage is going here? Why not this is happening? So talk to your financial planner and look after the amount of money that you are earning. Concentrate on your profession. That is what you have been trained to do. Do it with a passion, do it with a dedication, and believe me, money will come. But money coming into your hands is not the only thing. You have to invest it properly and keep it parked so that it gives you a percentage. And that is where the financial planners are important. Many paid sessions or even free sessions you are getting on how to do trading and how to do mutual funds and how to do debts and how to do equity and all that. But I personally feel that you should have the knowledge, no doubt, so that you know that your financial planner is not fooling you. नॉलेज होना जरूरी है, लेकिन उसमें टाइम वेस्ट मत करो. स्पेंड योर टाइम इन स्किल अपग्रेडेशन, बिकॉज पेशेंट सेफ्टी इज समथिंग which is in our hands. So we as doctors need to invest our time and money and effort in our infrastructure and try and give better facilities. Better facilities, word of mouth, believe me, you will not require to cut practice, you will not require to do any unethical practices, and your practice will grow. So learn how to smile and be nice and, be good to your patients and get there, give them a lot of positivity from your side. That is your job. So do that. Let the financial advisors do their job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nilima ma'am. This I will like to introduce Dr. Dilip Raichura. He would be talking on wealth succession, estate planning. So he's a MS surgeon, gynec, investor. He's practicing in Kandivali since 41 years. He interested in investments of shares, stock, and properties, and he's been investing since last 30 years. Over to you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Pranab.
2 minutes. Release coming 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
2 minutes.
Thank you, AMC. Thank you, President Dr. Nilima and all other members. And thank you so much, Nehal. Let me be your first paid customer for financial fitness plan. I will pay 15,000 rupees and you would like to become your customer for financial fitness plan. Very good afternoon to all. Pranav, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
The topic is too vast. But as a doctor, general public always says that health is wealth. They give a lot of importance to health. When you are healthy, you earn your wealth. When you are unhealthy, you spend your wealth. Your health, you cannot pass on to heirs. They have to earn their own health. But your wealth, you can pass on to your heirs. So how to plan for inheritance, which will result in good health of your heirs, good financial health of your heirs. That is what is important. You have earned the wealth, but you have to pass on to your heirs in a proper way so that they don't find difficulty. They don't face ill health of their wealth. Mr. Sailendra is with us. I will invite Mr. Sailendra, who is an expert in inheritance planning, who will explain us all the points in detail. Mr. Pranav, you can call Mr. Sailendra for further discussion. Thank you.
Yeah. So Mr. Shailendra Dubey would be explaining us in detail how we can plan our estate, create a wealth succession. So Mr. Shailendra has over 2 years of rich experience in estate planning and succession planning. He has closely worked with many business houses in India. He heads estate planning in Eterna Legacy Advisor Limited. Shailendra ji has done BBA and he is a chartered trust and estate planner from American Academy of Financial Management. Over to you, Shailendra ji.
Thanks, Pranab. Thanks, Dr. Raichura, and thanks, AMC, for inviting me for this session. So all this while we have discussed about how to create wealth, how to grow wealth, what are the best ways to create wealth and make money, right? They're all about financial planning. This session is going to be about all the wealth which you have created. Okay, what we should do so that it gets passed on to our loved ones. Because there's no point in working all throughout your life. And after that, after you, your children and your distant relative are fighting for your wealth, right? The whole idea gets defeated. And in India, as a society, as a culture, at least in current generation, my belief is almost 70, 80, or maybe in some cases, 90% of the money which a person has created, okay, is actually going to be passed on. We're not going to consume a lot of these wealth. Okay, maybe in the next generation they will consume, or maybe in subsequent generation they will consume everything. But in the current generation and the previous generation, almost all the wealth, 80-90% for sure, is going to get passed on to the next generation. Now, if you're talking about 80-90% of the wealth which you have created and that needs to be passed on, then why not also plan for that as well? How that can get passed on in a peaceful manner, right? So this session is going to be all about that. Let me share the screen, or is screen visible? Just hold on. I hope the screen is visible now.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. Right, so wealth, trust, legacy, and everything in and around how do we pass on your wealth, our wealth. So let's start with that. Okay, so there are three main phases: accumulation, preservation, and transmission. Accumulation, preservation, I mean, we know what it is all about. Nehal and a team has talked about this. Transmission is what we'll talk about: will, trust, nomination, and there are various other things which one can do for the transmission of the wealth. Okay, how typically we do, and many times without realizing we end up doing this, right? Let's say the moment we create a joint account, that means we open a joint account, it is actually a one step towards ensuring that the wealth is passed on in a proper manner. Making a nomination in your account, okay, that is again one step towards that. Some people go ahead and write a will, one step towards that. Even making a gift deed is something like that, where you want to pass on your wealth during your life so that the whole process is peaceful. Private trust, we'll talk about it. Family settlement is a slightly advanced, so we'll not get too much into detail. And the last one is where I think most of us would be falling. Almost, I think 95% of Indians do not do anything in terms of planning. So the law takes over, and we'll see what the law is. So first thing is to understand what happens if we do not create a proper plan, or if we do not write a will. Okay, how does the wealth gets passed on? So there are two situations. No will, we call that as an intestate. Okay, and if there's a will, we call that as a testate. So obviously, if there's a will, whatever has been written in the will, either you are Hindu, Jain, Sikh, Parsi, Jew, Christian, okay, the Indian Succession Act allows all these religions to pass on their wealth as per their will to the extent of 100%, except for Muslims, where only 1/3 of the wealth can be passed on through will, and the remaining 2/3 gets passed on through the Sharia law, which is the law which Muslims follow. Okay, so that's about when you write a will. Now, what will happen when you do not write a will? Okay, again, there are three categories: Hindu, Sikh, Jain, okay, Christian, Parsi, Jew, and Muslims. Okay, so we restrict our discussion primarily to Hindu, and in case if somebody wants, we can discuss about other religion also. So if a Hindu passes on without, Hindu male passes on without writing a will, the wealth gets distributed equally between the children, the wife, and if mother is alive. Okay, so do not be under impression that everything will go to my wife or everything will go to my children. Okay, mother also has a share if she is alive, right? Now let's take an example. If somebody passes on with, let's say, 1 crore, leaving behind 1 crore, okay, and he has 2 child, wife and a mother, then equal distribution, which means 25 lakh will go to surviving mother, 25 lakh to wife, 25 lakh to child 1, and 25 lakh to child 2. Now, is this what something you would want? Is this the distribution you are okay with? If yes, then obviously not writing a will is fine, right? Though there could be some other complication, which I will talk about later. But in terms of distribution, this is how the wealth gets distributed. Now, if you do not want your wealth to be distributed in this fashion, then what you need to do is you need to write a will. You may want your 100% of wealth first goes to your wife, and then after she passes away, then to the children in a particular manner. You may want to provide something more to your son and maybe something more to your daughter, or some specific asset to your daughter and some specific asset to your son. Okay, you may have a house, you may want to give a house to son and maybe liquid assets as jewelry to daughter. All this can only be possible if you go ahead and write a will. The law will not get into detail of that. It just clearly says, as I said, equal distribution between the children, wife, and the spouse. Okay, there are similar distribution happens in the other religion, wherein there is a law which takes over and you do not decide how your wealth gets distributed. So it's very important that you decide, you have created wealth, how your wealth would get passed on to your loved ones. Okay, now let's understand about a will. Since we said that this session is a lot about a will and other instruments and tools around that, let's get slightly more detail into a will. Okay, it's basically your intention, your legal declaration on how your wealth gets passed on, right? Okay, what it does is that it gives a clarity of distribution, which I just talked about, that which wealth will go to whom, in what proportion, what value. It gives a clarity to your legal heirs, saying that this is what my father or my mother wanted, and this is how the distribution should happen. That leads to avoidance of any kind of a dispute. Since there is a clarity, since there is a document, since there is a will which clearly says how parents would like to distribute their asset after the wealth, okay, the chances of disputes minimizes. Okay, and also it's a confidential document. You need not show to legal heirs, or you need not show to everybody. Okay, it's your document, you have created, keep it in the locker or anywhere you want. So it's a confidentiality is entirely maintained. Okay, it also provides an opportunity to families who still have a minor children to appoint a guardian. This is a very important point, right? When both the parents die, who would become the guardian, right? So you may have some thought process. Now, how do you do that? Will is the document through which you can write, in case if me and my wife, we both die and our children are minor, I'm appointing A, B, or whoever you want as the guardian till the time they turn major. So that's an important thing which you can do through a will. If you have not done this, if you have not given a clarity, then there is one step where certain people would come and claim for a guardianship. Now, who that would be? If there's a clarity, if they agree, good enough. If they don't agree, then you might have a scenario where actually there's a court case on deciding who's going to be the guardian for the minor, especially if the wealth is a lot. Okay, if the wealth is really high value, then you may find many people getting interested to become a guardian for obvious reason. Okay, because they are a custodian and they have a control of the money for the minor. Also, another point I like to bring here. Okay, if there's no will, okay, and as I just said that the distribution happens as per the law, which means that because somebody has not written a will, certain assets will go to the minor child. Now, if an asset goes to a minor child does not actually literally owns it. The ownership is with the guardian for the minor, which means that, let's say there's a case where a house is going to a minor child. Will is not written and there's a house. 50% of a house goes to wife and 50% of house goes to minor child. Now, because minor child is also a owner and the mother is owning on behalf of minor child, okay, she cannot dispose it off without the court order. Not many people are aware that if a minor child is owning a house, okay, a property, then disposing of the property may be for the benefit of minor child itself. Okay, the mother may want to sell this house to take care of the living expenses of the child, but she will not be able to sell this property easily unless she gets a court order. That's again an important point why a will is necessary. Then how to deal with your offshore assets? There are laws which are related to offshore assets. If you have one, that's that much more important to have a will. Certain cause you may want to philanthropy, certain charitable entity you want to support, okay, and in some cases where you may want to disinherit anyone, any relative, you want to very specially say that you do not want anything to be given to this particular person. Classic case, in case if somebody is in process of separation from his wife, okay, or vice versa, okay, then if you do not write a will, and I had an actual case where a person was actually fighting a divorce with his wife for last 15 odd years, okay, and he was living with another lady because he wanted to marry that lady. But because the divorce case was not solved and there was no order, if something would have to happen to this person, the whole wealth will go to somebody with whom he has been fighting for last 15 odd years. It will not go to the lady with whom he is being staying and he eventually wants to marry. Because on paper, she is, I mean, the lady is her wife. So the assets will go to her entirely. Now here is an option for him to write a will, and this person went ahead and wrote a will, and unfortunately within 3 years after writing the will, he had a heart attack and he passed away. Okay, and because there was a will, almost 80 to 90% of the asset went to the lady with whom he wanted to marry. Three basic criteria, and rather two basic criteria to write a will. Person should be major and person should be of a sound mind. That means minors cannot write a will. Also, I want to add, HUF as an entity cannot write a will. Company or partnership firm also cannot write a will. It is only individual who are major and of a sound mind can write their will. Some more points about the will. It has to be dated. A will which is not dated is invalid. Obviously, has to be signed by person who's writing the will. It must very clearly express the desire that a testator has and what needs to be passed on after the death. Okay. While the will can talk about various other softer issues in terms of the values and the belief of the family, but it needs to have a property or it needs to have a asset to dispose. Okay. Then the will would be valid. Moving on, it should be witnessed by at least 2 witnesses, and these witnesses should themselves be major of sound mind. Okay, and these witnesses need to be people who are independent, and I'll talk about that in the later slides. And property which a person is writing a will has to be owned by the testator. Okay, some more point about the will. It need not necessarily be timed, stamped, registered, notary, etc., nothing like that. You do it, it is good. If you type a will, obviously everything is legible and it's clearly written. There is no chances of a poor handwriting or any. We had seen that advertisement where a drop of water falls and the ink gets smudged. Okay, you'll not have those kind of a situation where it's absolutely clear what the person is intending to write. There is no stamp paper which is required. This is not an agreement, so there is no stamp which needs to be paid. Okay, normal A4 green paper or white paper, properly typed, properly written is good enough. Even registration is not mandatory, but it is highly advisable. We advise that you register a will for certain specific advantages. Now, one important point here is that when you register a will, the whole process, that means the person who has written the will, the witnesses, they go to registrar office, they do a biometric. Okay, the whole thing is being recorded. Hence, it will be that much more easier to prove that the will is valid vis-a-vis the unregistered will. But having said that, if somebody writes another will after this registered will, that new will which is written later but unregistered will be held valid. So that's what the law says. Now in the will, one has to also provide for an executor. Executor is a person who is responsible for carrying out the whole process of executing the will after the demise, which means that once a person passes away, it is the executor who will ensure that the will is actually taken to the court, the probate order is taken or a successor certificate is taken. Okay, all the assets are collected and distributed to the legatee. So it is the responsibility of the executor, and the executor becomes the signing authority. Executor will also ensure that any liability, loans, taxes, whatever is on the estate of the deceased is to be paid to the government or the party who needs to be paid to. Okay. Another important point is that I get this query that I have made so and so person as the nominee. So do I really need to write a will? What is the role of the nominee? Nominee is only a custodian or a trustee. Nominee are not the legal owners. Okay, they may or they may not be a legal owner. depending on the succession law or depending on the will. But just because somebody is a nominee does not necessarily means that person is going to be owning the property. Okay. Will is a moving document in the sense that you can change it as many times you want. It's a document which is your desire. If 2 days, 3 days, 1 month, 1 year down the line, you want to change something, you can change. Your last will is your final will. Okay. And again, important point, I get this query very often, that whom do I make witness? And I come to this witness. How important is this witness? Now, witness has to be somebody who does not have a beneficial interest in the will, which means that if somebody is named as a beneficiary in the will, that person cannot be a witness. Any close relative of that person also should not be a witness. That means if, let's say, daughter is made a beneficiary, then the son-in-law ideally should not be a witness because there's a conflict of interest. Okay. So witness should be independent people who do not have interest in the assets of the deceased. Okay. And also, if possible, person who would be available in case if called to the court for confirming if he or she has actually witnessed. And finally, the witness should also be a younger person. That means the witness should ideally outlive, if possible. Obviously, nobody knows when death is going to come, but by making a younger person as a witness, there are chances that your witness will outlive you. Okay. And lastly, it is not mandatory to show what is written in the will to your witness. Okay. On the last page where you are signing, the witness also signs there. There is a place for witnesses to sign, and witness just need to confirm that you have signed in their presence. So they are not confirming to the content. Okay. They're only confirming to the fact that the signature was done in their presence. Right. So that's, I thought, is an important point. Okay. When should you write a will? Okay, when, or rather change your will, when there are specific changes in your life. Somebody who's unmarried has written a will, gets married. Okay, divorce happens, or terminal illness happens, stuff like that, right? So let me move further. Some more point, which I've covered a bit of it. Beneficiary cannot be a witness. Spouse must also not be a spouse of the beneficiary should not be a witness. Okay, but an executor can be a witness. Now, if I made somebody as an executor, and if he's not the beneficiary, this person can definitely become a witness in your will. These days, we own a lot of digital assets. There are people who have a YouTube account, and there are other Insta and Twitter and other platforms. Okay, and some of them are monetized, so there could be some monetary value to that. Okay, so you may also consider actually including your digital assets in the will, even if it is not monetized, and if there's no money coming out of it, you may still want to write a clause in the will which says that after me, I authorize so and so person, let's say my spouse or whoever it is, to have access to my all the social media accounts and all my digital assets. Okay, so this will help in retrieving any data, retrieving any email, okay, or various other things which can be done after a person passes away, right? So there are accounts which needs to be closed, deactivated, okay, or memorized, which means that in the memory of the deceased, that account is created. Right, so all those things can be done if you authorize somebody to do that. Okay, share in HUF. When a person has an HUF and he's a co-partner and he's a share, that person, that means if I'm writing my will, I can write in the will that my share in this HUF I am giving to my wife, my son, or I may also say that I am giving my share back to the HUF. Right, which means that if there are 4 co-partners, I am owning 25% of the asset. I am saying after me, do not take out any asset from the HUF. Let the assets remain in the HUF. Okay. And after me, there will be, let's say, 3 co-partners. So instead of 25%, it will be now 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So I can give back my assets to the HUF itself instead of giving it to anybody. This is important when there are house or there are some land or some asset which physically or practically is not possible to divide. Okay, in such cases, it is advisable that you give the asset back to the HUF, but only when you have written in the will. If you have not written in the will, then as per law, it will go to the legal heir, which I talked about in my previous slides. Okay. Similar is the case with the partnership firm. In most of the cases, partnership firm allows the partnership rights as well as your financial assets in the partnership to be bequeathed. Okay, but one has to still look at the deed. But in most of the cases, that is permissible. As many times I may say it is my final will and it is revocable. You can change it as and when you want. Okay, that's your last will is your valid is what I just said. And in certain cases, and very specific example I want to give here, wherein people who are at border, in emergency services, firemen, they have option of also doing a oral will. If they are in such a situation where they see death immediately, and they can actually tell their colleagues, two of their colleagues, about their desire, and that can be also considered as a will in special circumstances, but only in that situation and only to that people, not to everybody. Similarly, there are some mutual will. Mutual will basically means that husband and wife write a will which is similar looking, and it gives, both of them give assets to each other. But these are two separate will. We call that as a mirror will also. So these are mirror wills or mutual will. Asset goes to each other. Then there's something called as a joint will. Okay, joint will where both the husband and wife, both the spouse, go ahead and write the will jointly. Okay. Now, why they would like to do it? Because they may want to take the decision together. One problem with the joint will is that if one of them is to go first, okay, then the will cannot be changed, right? And the surviving partner has to remain with whatever is written in the will, right? So many times we advise that do not do a joint will, do a two wills, which are kind of a mirror and mutual will. Okay, now when a person passes away, the will has to be probated, or there is a succession certificate which is required. So in three places, jurisdiction of the Kolkata, Chennai, and Bombay, it's mandatory to get the will probated. Now, will can be probated only after demise. Okay, it's a process of validating the will, which means that the will has to go through a court process, after which the will becomes a final document based on which the distribution would happen. So that whole process is called as the probate of the will. So when you do a probate, it takes, in Bombay, it takes around 6 to 8 months. One has to file in the court, and then the court has its own process of validating, its own process of ensuring that the will is valid and written by the the person for whom we are talking about. And after that, it issues a probate order, and that probate order can be used for ensuring that the assets are passed on to the legal heirs. Now, let's move to next point, which is about trust. So when we write a will, on demise, the asset goes to the beneficiary and they become the owner. So on demise of a person, the beneficiary becomes an owner, and now the beneficiary has a full ownership right and decision to take with respect to the asset. Okay. Now, many a times you may not want that to happen. You may want to provide to your subsequent generation, or you may want your beneficiaries to have the benefit of the asset but not own it. Okay. Especially if these are high value properties, business family which has, let's say, 400, 500 crores, they do not want everything to go to their children. Okay. Or such a situation where you feel that your child may be spendthrift, may not be able to justify, and will get into the bad habits. Okay. If there are situations like that, or if there's a family which has a special needs child, and they feel that the child or the person will not be able to handle the assets, okay, these are the situations where trust might be required and considered as an option. Very quickly, so trust basically has three main elements. The person who's creating the trust, settlor, the trustees who are going to manage the trust assets, and the beneficiaries who will get the benefit out of the trust. So these three elements come together to create a trust. So trust is nothing but an agreement between a settlor and the trustee to manage the asset for the benefit of the beneficiary. So it is a legal obligation, okay, on the trustee given by settlor for the benefit of beneficiary. Okay, so the assets are actually owned by the trust, managed by trustees for the beneficiary. So the ownership is not with the beneficiary, is what point which I want to drive here. There could be public trust and a private trust. Public trust is mainly for public at large. So most of your charitable trust, most of your trust where public at large are beneficiaries of public trust. Private trust where there's certain specified people, family members are the beneficiaries. Okay, so we're going to talk more about the private trust and not the public trust. Okay, so let's move to some benefit and why somebody should create a trust. If you have a desire to pass on your wealth intergenerational, that means beyond generations, okay, and to the next generation, but you do not want your legal heirs or your legatees to go through the whole process of probating. You do not want them to be exposed to dispute because, as I said, the will needs to be validated by the court. And when the will goes for the validation, that is a point when somebody can come and challenge it. Okay, and there are enough number of cases where the will gets challenged on these grounds. Okay, very small minor ground, the will gets challenged. Okay, and once this will get challenged, then it may take 5, 10, 15, 20 years to get any order, right? And in India, almost 70% of the cases of the civil cases are related to property matters and related to the inheritance and will and all these kind of matters. Okay, so one may not want to get into such thing. So maybe a trust could be beneficial entity to consider. But having said that, obviously there are certain downside to it. I'll talk about that as well. So because the assets have moved from an individual into the trust during lifetime, okay, the process of probating the will is not needed. Hence, there is a chance that the disputes will be minimal. Next point, protecting assets. Professionals, doctors, businessmen, they may want to protect their personal wealth from the professional risk. Okay. Now, again, what is done here is that during lifetime, certain assets are actually moved to the trust because the trust is an asset, is an entity held for your subsequent generation. That means for 1, 2, 3 generation, so that the assets which have moved into the trust are now not owned by you as an individual. Since it is not owned by you as an individual, you are not exposed to any, I mean, these assets are not exposed to any kind of a personal liabilities. The classic case is, and we have done a few cases where a family foresees or a person foresees a marital dispute, a divorce kind of a situation. So before he or she gets into that, they actually go ahead and create the trust and move the assets into the trust. Okay, because when you are into a marital dispute, whatever you own is subject matter of the dispute, subject matter of the alimony or any kind of a compensation to other partner. If well in time you have been able to move your assets into the trust, you have been able to protect a lot of your assets for your families, for your children, for future requirement. So that's again something which people plan for. Estate and inheritance tax, we do not have any such tax, but we used to have estate taxes till 1984. Okay, and these taxes were very high as 85%. Okay, and the certain, I mean, whatever you own beyond 20 lakh, the limit was only 20 lakh at that time. 1985, this tax was abolished. On your wealth, not on the income, important point, on your net worth, you're supposed to pay tax to the government when you pass away. Okay. So many countries like UK, US, Japan, okay, Korea, Germany, and huge, big list of countries which has this kind of a taxes, which means that on demise, certain percentage of the wealth, 20, 30, 40, in some cases, even 50% of the wealth will go as a tax to be paid to the government. Only after paying these taxes, the legal heirs will get the assets. In India, there has been talk about these taxes, but fortunately, so far we don't have. Okay. But there is a strong buzz that in the new regime of this current government, which comes in power in 2024, they may introduce such a tax because internationally across, this is a very good way of having a revenue for the government. And there is a thought process that it is okay to tax the extra rich, right? Maybe the limit could be 5 crore, 10 crore, I don't know, beyond which this tax will be applicable. So there's a whole thought process that you have additional surcharge above 50 lakh or 1 crore or 5 crore. So coming from those thought process, we might see in next year and a half or 2 years, or maybe more, I don't know, this kind of tax getting introduced. So that's again, if such a tax comes, trust are the vehicles which are used worldwide to bring down the such taxes. Okay, so there's a proper planning which needs to be done, and this needs to be done well in advance. Okay, you need to create entities well in advance and plan for such taxes. Certain families who have businesses, they may want to club their shareholdings in an entity. Again, a trust is a good vehicle. If you have any brand IPR, again, those brand IPR can be protected by putting into the trust. Families who have assets outside India, cross-border estate planning, again, a trust can be created so that the assets are actually held in India and does not go to legatees or children who are outside India, especially in case of US. We've seen that when you move the assets or when you gift or when an inheritance happens, the asset straight away goes to children. And there are tax liabilities which can come because country like US charge, tax on the global income, right? So there could be a proper planning which can be done on a case-to-case basis. But that's again an area where trust is used in beautiful manner so that these taxes can be minimized. I have talked about the special children. Trust can be created for the benefit of special children where the parents move assets, some during their life and some through will after their life. And this trust ensures that the needs of the special needs child is being taken care of. Obviously, a lot of planning needs to be done. You need to see who are going to be the trustees, how the trust will manage, what are the lifestyle requirement of your child. So a proper detailed planning, estate as well as financial planning needs to be done in such cases. But trust is something which works very well in such cases. And needless to say, you can create a trust to do a philanthropy to pass on your assets for the society at large. That's again something which many individuals do. So these are the main broad advantages why, if at all, somebody should consider trust. Okay, now these are some important takeaway points, and some of it has been already talked by Nehal. Okay. Ensure nomination and joint holder wherever possible. I think this exercise is already happening, and you should ensure Finovate team is, I'm sure, working on it, and make sure that all your accounts, if possible, are jointly held and there are nominations. Because even before the will comes into picture, even before anything else comes into the picture, it is joint account holder and the nominees who have access to a fund. I've seen cases where on the sudden demise, the family is short of liquidity while there are money there. Okay, but to meet the immediate expenses, how will you get those funds? Okay, so joint account ensure that the survivor have access to the fund. If there's no joint account, then the nominee can go to the bank, do certain paperwork, okay, indemnity bond and etc., whatever they want, and have the assets. Even before this whole process of a succession certificate or a probate is needed. So please ensure that this is being done. Again, same point, prepare asset liability register, record it, have documented everywhere. As far as possible, digitize all your assets, store it properly. Okay. And also nominate someone who will have access to this. There are software which are available who also do this. All your outstanding paperwork, outstanding disputes, okay, please complete that during your life. If you can't resolve your family dispute, let's be assured your children would be least interested. So solve them during your life. Do not leave behind this family dispute and this whole negative thing for them. Solve it out if you can. Okay. As far as possible, consolidate your properties, your accounts over a period of time. You open so many demat account and so many savings account. They're just duplications happening. Sort it out. Consolidate, close the ones which you don't need. If you're somebody who's got multiple properties, 5, 6, 7 properties, think if you can give some property during your life, sell some of them, sit in liquid as far as possible, because liquid assets, I mean to say financial assets, are easier to manage, okay, as compared to the properties and the immovable asset. And finally, plan your inheritance, create will, create those documents, find out what is best for you. If you need to do a gift, or you need to write will, you need to create trust, or there's something else which you need to do, please do that. And lastly, I have this very interesting case. Way back in the year 1948, this gentleman, Cecil George Harris, a local farmer in small town in Canada, okay, he was doing his farming. Unfortunately, he fell because the weather was bad. He fell from his tractor and he was bleeding for 10 hours. He realized that he won't be able to survive. Okay. He pulled out his knife and on the tractor, he wrote, "In case I die in this mess, I leave all to my wife, all to the wife." He wrote this, literally, he actually wrote this. He was found out, he was rushed to the hospital, but he could not survive. The court actually considered the scratch as the legal will, okay, a desire written by him, and this was honored. A cut-off piece from this tractor is still displayed in the Library of Saskatchewan, Canada. Okay, so that's the interesting. What is the moral? Do not wait for such a situation. Do write your will, do plan for your inheritance. Okay, life is uncertain. All of a sudden, anything can happen. So do plan for your inheritance. Happy to take any questions on this. Thank you.
Shailendra ji.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me congratulate you on having covered nearly all aspects of the will writing. I myself am a law graduate, so I actually had a revision of the entire topic, and very rightly pointed out that in India, since we are a diverse country, we have various laws which are governing us, and the Indian Succession Act is not the only act which we can follow, and so people need to understand that in our country, your religion also matters where the succession is there, and writing a will becomes of prime importance. One point I think we have missed out in this presentation is about the married women, who have properties and they die. Then what happens? We understand about the husband, it goes back to his mother and comes to the wife and the children. But what about the woman? Because she gets properties even from her parents in her name. And the property should not go to the in-laws, it has to go forward to her children only. So what is it that once a married woman having property in their names, okay, maybe joint or maybe singular, right, or inherited from her parents, okay, what happens to those properties and those investments?
Sure. So for married women, the properties are categorized into 3 categories. Category 1 is inherited from or created by her husband or her in-laws side, assets created by her during her life, and assets inherited from her own parents. Okay, so these are the three categories. So the category where assets have come from in-laws side or husband and self-created, okay, they are dealt. So there is as you know, there is a class 1 and class 2 legal heirs. Class 1 legal heirs are the immediate family, okay, your children, your wife. I mean, in this case, husband, spouse. Yeah, in this case, husband. So the assets will go there. Okay. Now, if there is nobody in class 2, okay, then instead of looking at, sorry, nobody in class 1, then instead of looking at the in-law side, the assets which have been inherited from her parents will go back to her parents' side. Okay. So they go back to that side, it does not go to the in-law side. But having said that, the class 1 legal heir has to be there. If there is even one person in class 1 legal heir, then the asset will go there. But in the absence of class 1 legal heir, then we start looking at how the asset has come. Is it from parents, self-created, or from the in-law side? Assets coming from the parents goes back to the parent side. So that's the main difference in such cases. So this also brings me to one important point. Okay. Now, class 1, class 2 legal heir, the asset which the lady herself has created, okay, if she dies and if there's no will, okay, nothing will go to her parents if the husband is alive, even if child is alive. Okay. So if she wants to provide anything to her parents, she needs to write away. Right?
Or ladies, please take note of this. If you want to support your parents after your demise, if it ever happens unluckily for you, all right, and your parents have nobody, because nowadays we have singular children families, nuclear families, and the girls need to look after their parents. If we have the right to inherit their property, we have a responsibility of taking care of them. So please understand that in your will, you need to write that this property which has come to you from your parents needs to go back there. Okay, please note this.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Shailendraji. We will start with the Q&A round. So there are many questions that have come in. So I will just read them out.
Pranav, you can invite all panelists also, no? All the speakers who are on the panel to answer questions.
Yes, yes. I invite everyone to be a part of the discussion. So the question how can we start creating a will? What's the starting point?
Yeah, so the first and the foremost point is putting your thoughts in place, who gets what. So step 1 is having clarity on who will get your assets immediately after you're not there. Is your wife gets 100%, or you want to give some assets to your children? Okay, if yes, then which are assets? Like, as I said, if there is somebody who's got multiple assets, multiple properties rather, okay, then you may not want to give all the asset to your wife. You may want to give maybe one asset each to your children also. Okay, so that you do not have to do a 2-step, because every time a death happens, there's a process of validating a will. So from him, it will go to a spouse, and if she's not there, then it will go to children, right? So maybe main house can be dealt in this manner, but some of the other assets which are additional, maybe 2 property, 3 property, 4 property, can go to children directly. So step 1 is on the distribution thing. Then is obviously getting slightly into a detail where we'll tell you, okay, there's an executor concept, how the asset needs to be captured. Okay, so once you have a clarity of the distribution, you can actually start. Okay, then we will take care of the rest of the things. Finovate will have all the asset detail, will guide you how to go about various other elements of creating a will, right? So I think the first and the only thing which you need to be sure about how the distribution will happen.
So next question would be, what is the importance of registering a will? Is it important in case of inheriting property?
Yeah, so
Pranav, my request to you is to not take questions which have already been answered.
Okay.
Okay, take only the ones which are not answered, right? We're wasting our time unnecessarily otherwise, because this answer he is already given in his presentation.
Okay. So can we only take critical illness policy? And this would be for you.
Yeah, we can, take a critical illness policy with the term insurance. We can also take a critical illness policy with the health insurance or Mediclaim, or we can also take a standalone critical illness. I'll just want to tell the difference. If you have a Mediclaim policy, only if you're hospitalized, then the Mediclaim policy comes in, and medical claim is a reimbursement of your hospital expenses. And what is a critical illness policy? Like, for example, there are 21 or 22 major critical illness. It could be cancer, heart, kidneys, some very, very critical illnesses. So if you have taken a cover which covers this 21, 22 or 41 major critical illness, and if there is only a diagnosis, if the doctor says that you have been diagnosed with cancer, then whatever is a cover amount, 50 lakh, 1 crore, 30 lakh, that is paid upfront, even without hospitalization. Okay, so there is a difference between a Mediclaim and a critical illness cover. Critical illness cover on diagnosis pays the cover amount, whether you use it to be hospitalized and then, so it is not a medical reimbursement or hospital reimbursement. It is a standalone cover which is paid only on diagnosis. A qualified doctor writes that you have been diagnosed with a cardiac issue or a cancer, then the insurance company will pay you the entire cover amount on diagnosis without even hospitalization. So you can use that amount for whatever you want, because in a lot of cancer cases, people are not continuously hospitalized. Okay, staying at home also they get treated, but they are not able to go to work. So that critical illness cover can help them replace their income at that point of time. Okay, so it's a must for all of us to have critical illness, and you can opt for a standalone or an attachment with any life insurance term policy also.
Yeah, but it needs to be taken separately, and the premiums need to be paid separately for this, because suppose in case you have an accident and then later you cannot practice, you cannot go to your hospitals, then this cover will take care of that disability period where you don't work. It will still give you an income.
Yes, yes. So the accident and disability cover kicks in at that point of time in case of loss of income due to some accident, and critical illness is just on diagnosis, you're paid the cover amount. Whatever is the outcome is completely different.
So next question is it worth getting indemnity policy from two different insurance companies?
I guess Dr. Nilima will be right person to answer this, because AMC has one of the best professional indemnity policies. I think once they have the AMC policy, I don't think anything else is needed. So I think Dr. Nilima, you're the right person to answer this.
Yeah, you can claim this only at one indemnity policy. You cannot claim a particular thing with two policies. Okay, just like with the health insurance. Okay, when you put in one health insurance, that is, unless it's a top-up plan afterwards, then you can use it. But otherwise, a singular plan for one particular incident, you cannot have two policies. You can have two policies for two different incidents maybe, but for a particular incident, you cannot. And indemnity insurance from AMC, once you've taken up, now we have even given you, if you pay up from the PI app, the premiums are so low. All right, I think you should avail of this facility right away. And if you all are not members, please become members only for the PI policy, if nothing else. But I'm sure that AMC has much, much more to offer you than just the PI policy.
There was one question on joint holding or ownership. Dr. Raichara was asking that. If you can just take up that question, because it's very important. And I don't think so it's answered in the question. What are the advantages, disadvantages
of joint accounts?
Yeah, so joint accounts basically gives you convenience of operating during life if it's any one of survivor. And if you want to make it jointly executed, assigned also, then obviously both of them need to sign. That's during the transactional part. But on the demise of any of the holder, okay, if it's any one of survivor or either of survivor, if it is held in that way, the survivor can keep operating the account. Obviously, he has to inform about the demise of the other holder, okay, to the bank. But the account is active. The funds can be withdrawn, or new funds can be put into the account. Okay, so there's a continuity there, right? And you have access to the fund. That's an important point. Baki transactional convenience is what something which you will have during life. So as far as possible, which I earlier said, one should have a joint account unless there's a specific situation where you need to have for whatever reason. Yeah.
One more important question over here, which has come is, sir, can you clarify about ownership rights under the Pagadi system? Can they be passed by will?
So legally, proper legally speaking, it cannot be. Okay, because you do not have a ownership. These are tenantial right. Okay, tenants right. But what happens practically is that in case of one generation or a father going, the son gets the tenancy rights. Okay, so tenancy right is basically right provided to you to keep staying by paying a particular amount of rent. Okay, so I have seen people who do want to write, and they go ahead and write that I'm passing on my tenancy right to my son ABC. Okay, which is absolutely all right, but you cannot give the ownership because you actually don't have it, right? So it's a very specific situation which is there, where the right to being a tenant in that house is what you are passing on. Okay, but you cannot pass on the ownership there. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Pranab. Next question.
So, how commercial property like nursing home with proprietorship can transfer or put in trust?
Yeah, so see, any property which are owned by you, okay, either individually or as a proprietorship, because proprietorship also basically means ownership to individual only, because it is linked. Though there's a separate PAN number, but the whole ownership and whole control and even the downside in the risk is with the main person. Okay, so you need to basically gift this property to the trust. Okay, sign as a proprietor of that particular firm, saying that so and so particular firm wants to give assets to the trust. Okay, and you as a proprietor, because you are the sole person to decide, there's nobody to contest on this. Okay, you as a sole proprietor firm would be able to transfer this. But having said that, there's going to be a stamp duty, obviously. Okay, but as a sole proprietor, you don't need to take anybody's consent. It is as good as your own assets. Okay, transferring into the trust.
Okay, Nehal ma'am, for you, how to buy REITs?
Yeah, so like we discussed 4 asset classes, real estate. If someone doesn't want to directly buy real estate in their name, right? So like mutual funds is a way to participate in equity, where you pool in the money and then you buy shares of the company. Same way, REITs are a way to invest in real estate, where the funds are pooled and there is a fund manager who identifies a real estate, and then, you know, proportionately the units of that real estate are through the REITs allocated to you. So it's a very new way of investing in real estate via the REIT trust. Okay, it's a fairly new concept in India, where you don't get into actually identifying the property, negotiating, maintaining and all that. You are a part of the pool where you put in money, and a lot of people like you put in money, and then there's a professional fund manager who negotiates, buys the property, and you know, proportionately you're the unit holder in that real estate. So it's a kind of a I can say, like how mutual fund is to equity, that way REIT is to the real estate. A very new age way of investing in real estate.
So in case of joint account in Demat account, husband and wife, what happens after one's death?
Okay, so I'm just handling one case right now where there was a joint Demat account between husband and wife. And if something were to happen to one person, then the other person cannot operate that Demat account because it was a joint Demat account. So how we generally plan is that if you have, say, husband and wife have a Demat account jointly, they should also have a Demat account individually. If something were to happen to one of the joint holders, the entire Demat can be transferred to that individual. Say, for example, Mr. A and Mrs. B are the joint holders, and something were to happen to Mr. A, then Mrs. B needs to have an individual Demat account. So whatever was the holding between Mr. A and Mrs. B will be transferred to Mrs. B's individual Demat account. Okay, so every time you have this combination that you have joint Demat, first holder husband, second holder wife, first holder wife, second holder husband, and both of them have individual Demat account A and B individually. Okay, so it's an easier way to transfer in case if something happens, because a joint Demat account cannot be operated individually by a person, if something happens, to the main person. I think Shailendra, if you want to add to whatever I'm saying, or else I think there is something called as a either or survivor. In case if you have either or survivor, which is not an option in DMAT, which is an option in mutual fund investments or many other investments, but not in DMAT. And so it is better to have a joint combination between both of you all and individual also. I think Shailendra, you want to highlight something on
Yeah,
this.
so exactly the point. If there's no option of either a survivor, okay, then what you're saying is absolutely right. You need to then transfer it to individual account. You cannot operate that. But there are various other accounts where there's an option. So the continuity gets maintained if one of the person is not there. But in DMAT account, since there's no option, then obviously we don't have anything but to transfer to individual accounts.
So on REIT, does REIT have better liquidity? How much returns are expected?
See, it all depends on REIT to REIT, so there can be, open-ended schemes. There can be schemes with lock-ins. Okay. And so, each one, like now, what is the underlying asset? Is it to earn a rental income? Or, is the underlying REIT a combination of rental plus capital appreciation? So, like in mutual funds, you have so many schemes: open-ended, closed-ended, growth, dividend paying, many combination. Same way, whatever REIT you're opting for, you need to look at whatever is the underlying objective of that REIT. Like, is it just to earn a rental income? It's rental income plus appreciation, a combination of all that. And someone also wrote on the taxation, like equity mutual funds. Okay. So like real estate has a long-term capital gain tax, and a short term, and in the long term, there is a benefit of indexation, So REIT will have its own rules on short term, long term indexation and all that. Okay. So before making the investment, I say the aspects, which is the cost, the liquidity, then the taxation, and the returns. Are the returns in the form of regular income, or is it in form of capital appreciation? These are the 4 things which you should evaluate before investing in REIT. Yeah, Pranav, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So one more question. If you have emergency fund of 3 to 5 lakh for a health emergency, and in that case, is it okay to take only top-up policy and don't take the base policy, because base health insurance premium is very high and top-up is around 5 to 7K for a 25 lakh top-up?
Pranav, for a super top-up, I will say instead of top-up, a super top-up is a better option. A super top-up option comes in after you exhausted like your base policy premium. That is why it is called a super top-up. So I feel that you need a kind of family floater between all of you all, a very small amount, maybe 5 lakh or something as a base policy. Very small amount, because like someone said that the premium will be higher. So you can opt for a smaller base policy, which could be a floater between all of you all. And you can opt for like a high cover and super top-up, because premiums are much lesser. But a super top-up will come in after you exhausted your base policy. Okay, so it is needed.
So if one has a joint flat and is a nomination required, what is the right of a nominee?
Yeah, so in case of a joint flat, the nominee comes into picture after both the owners are not there. Okay, especially in case of society. Now, when one of the holder passes away, okay, then as per the succession law or as per the will of the deceased, the ownership will be transferred. If nominee is the beneficiary, then the nominee's name will get added to the property. Okay, else nominee will remain as a nominee. Only when there is none of the holders are alive, then the rights of the nominee will come. Here again, the succession law or the will, okay, has to mention nominee as the next owner. Okay, if he or she is not there, it's going to be a very rare case where the actual ownership are going to be somebody else and nominees are somebody else. But just for a discussion's sake, if we have a situation where the nominee is somebody who is not actually going to be the legal heir as per will or as per succession law, then the nominee will not automatically become the owner. Okay. Yeah. So in both the cases, both the holders will have to ensure that the nominee is the owner. Otherwise, you'll have a situation where somebody else will become the owner, and nominee, obviously, one has to do the nomination all over again.
One more question. Is probate of will compulsory if there is no dispute?
Yeah, so as I had mentioned, in these three locations, if you have a property, so Kolkata, Chennai, and Mumbai, okay, and if you have a property, okay, then you need to get the probate order. If there's no property in the asset, in the will, then there is something called as a succession certificate, which would be good enough, okay. But for our practical purpose, the process is more or less similar, okay. So probate, Bombay, these three places. If property, then it is mandatory, unless you have a situation where somehow you're able to manage. So I don't actually advise these things. There are some people who are able to manage without probate also, but the title will not be clear. There could be a dispute in future. So advisable, go get the probate order, absolute clarity on the ownership, and it's a court verified way of having the ownership. Yeah.
So whether individual demat account should be opened with the same broker or any other broker for solving the joint demat account problems?
That does not matter, Pranav. I think many times I get asked this question, is this broker good? That, I'll say at the end of the day, your shares lie in NSDL and CDSL, okay, which are the depositories, National Depository and Central Depository. So the broker is just like a pass-through. For you buy shares from the exchange and they go and lie in your NSDL or CDSL account. So if I have joint accounts with an X broker and I open individual accounts with a Y broker, it really does not matter. Just ensure that the broker is like sound and there's no leverage happening on your account and all, till there is no leverage happening on your account, it really does not matter, because eventually the shares lie in NSDL, CDSL, broker is just a pass-through. So it really does not matter. Joint can be with someone, individual can be with anyone else. Only thing is that a lot of time right now, people are just opting for this online discount brokers and all, okay? And I've seen that at times there are only chat facilities. To reach the call center and to get your work done is very difficult, okay? So I will say that, you should opt for brokers whom who can be in touch with you on a phone, or their HO, and they're accessible, because if something happens, then there's a paperwork to transfer that demat. So you should be like at least having a phone conversation, and it becomes a little simple rather than talking with this online discount brokers in the chat box and all, because brokerage is a very small amount of cost to you if you are a long-term investor. If you're a trader, it's a different thing, but for a long-term investor, it's a very small cost. So it really does not matter that you go to discount brokers and all. You go to good traditional brokers. Even your banks like HDFC, ICICI all have HDFC Securities or ICICI Securities who have demat accounts, which are with the bank. In fact, forget the securities. Even the banks are also having demat account, okay? So that can also be like your demat account. Does not matter because eventually it will be NSDL, CDSL.
So probate is required only for property and not for the liquid funds?
Yes, probate is not mandatory if there are only liquid funds. But as I said, there is something similar which is called succession certificate, which might be needed. That also depends on the amount. Generally, any account having less than 5 lakh, even that also may not be required. Okay, but more than 5 lakh in that account, okay, you will have to then get at least succession certificate.
Okay. If I want to use REIT as a regular monthly income, can I consider that?
This is a very fairly new category of investment which has started, some time back. Right now, the choices are not much. Okay, and it is evolving. So I will say that, if you are looking at like a very assured kind of a monthly income, then I will opt for Government of India sovereign bonds. Then there are like many senior citizen schemes which are available, PMBBY, post office deposits, a lot many option, which will give you an absolute guaranteed monthly income. Okay, no questions asked. So that could be the better choice at this point of time till REITs really evolve. And there are many more options than what it is right now. So right now, given that the volatility which comes with REIT, I would say that, Government of India sovereign bonds and many other more, postal schemes or many more senior citizen schemes, or even I will say very less volatile, mutual funds, the long-term ones, large cap funds are better options than REITs.
Shailendra ji, one question for you. Can a general practitioner certify that a person making a will is psychologically stable?
Yes. You don't have to be any specialist or MD for that.
But that happens, you need all those certificates only if the will is challenged in court. Those are one of the points which come up when there is a challenge. When there is no challenge, there is no need of a certificate. When somebody challenges, then you have to disprove the sanity. Those are actual grounds on which, wills can be challenged.
Yeah, only thing is that these days, even when you go for registering, the registrars are asking for doctor certificate.
I agree. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't have option there, but I agree, only when you get challenged that you need these kind of things.
Yeah, then you would definitely need it, because that is one of the main reasons, why people say that terminal illness tha, he was not in his senses, so how can this be his will? वो सब बातें आती हैं उस वक्त.
Correct.
So one last question. What happens if the wife does not have a will and has property on her individual name? How does the wealth get passed on?
So it's a classic case of interstate asset. Sorry, ma'am, you want to go ahead?
No, nothing. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's a classic case of intestate death, okay, wherein if she is owning the asset and succession law would be applicable for her share of asset, okay. If succession law says that the assets, the property will go to children and spouse, okay, as per that, the division will happen, right? Or a will. So if there's no will, then obviously the succession law will take over, and those class 1 legal heirs will get the asset. There's also an option which some people use, where let's say there are 3 immediate legal heirs, okay, and there's no will, and they want that instead of all 3, only one own it. So they can actually do a release deed, where 2 of them release their rights in favor of one of the holders. Typical case where, let's say, husband passes away, there are 2 children, and both of them agree that mother should own the property now. Because father has not written the will, legally it is going to be 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, considering these 3 are the only class 1 legal heirs. But if they agree that mother should be owning it in a single way, then both of them can release their rights. So there's something called a release deed, okay, which is also done. But only problem is a lot of societies are not accepting this. That's also a reality. They will say, get us the probate order only. Release deed is not the foolproof document. Okay. So that is also one instrument which can be used, right? Yeah. So that's it.
So with that,
one query.
Yeah.
No, Pranav, you can ask first the questions of the audience.
No, that was the last question.
All right. My query again to you is that when we women, we'll end up having no rights in property. By husband kama raha hai, paise dal raha hai, property le raha hai, and we assume that we are the wife. So after the husband dies, so anyway mujhko milne wala hai. This is the trust that we women have. And when it actually happens and the reality strikes, we realize that we may not actually be getting it. So is it necessary for us to have our names put in when the husband is alive and when a property is being bought and the EMIs are being paid by the husband, but the name of the property is jointly held? What are the legal implications afterwards if the husband then says that I have been paying the EMI, only tumhara naam likha hua tha? So what actually in the court of law, how much does this have a standing?
Yeah. So once the assets, the property jointly held, okay, especially in case of property, it is absolutely clear that the ownership is also equal. Okay, ownership is not based on the fact that who has paid. Now, this can be a matter of contest when they are separating. Okay. So when there's a divorce happening, then the husband himself, okay, can say, look, I have paid for it and hence it is mine, but it's very difficult to get. I don't see the order will come in favor of husband. It's very difficult to get, because the moment you make your spouse as the joint owner, you have kind of, if I can use a word, deemed gifted her asset. Okay. It's kind of gifting 50% assets to your wife. If anything happens, then to the extent of 50%, the wife remains the owner. But for the husband's 50%, as I said, the succession law will take over, where mother-in-law will also be one of the owner. Okay. So she needs to then obviously get an release deed or something from mother-in-law if she agrees, or jointly hold that asset, right? So the law is very clear. Joint ownership means, joint holding means joint ownership in case of properties, right? So you are right. The female ladies should insist on a joint ownership. Okay, that protects them a lot.
So that's
Also,
what
one more query over here in joint ownership also. Many a times it so happens. See, I'm talking from the women point of view because I deal with this day in, day out. All right.
For sure.
What happens is the properties, commercial properties are also bought. All right. And they are in both the names. But whatever income comes is utilized by the husband. Does the woman have a legal right over 50% of the income and also 50% of the liabilities? You just can't have the credits, right? Liability is also equally shared by the woman, but at the same time, if there are no liabilities, and if that property happens to have an income, the husband generally lands up taking away all the income because he has been paying the EMIs. Okay. So the woman, does she have the legal right to demand 50% of the income of that property?
Answer is yes, for the same reason, because there is an ownership. Okay, but practically that does not happen most of the time. Either the money goes in the husband's single account or a joint account, which actually is operated and controlled by husband. Okay, but if she approaches court for having a 50% rental, she will have a case, and she has a income rights as well along with the ownership right.
Yeah. The point of asking these questions is that because I'm a law graduate, I am aware of the answers already.
Sure,
But
sure.
there are a lot of women in the group I can see, who are attending. So they need to know their rights. And we as doctors, though we are so educated, in our Indian system, it has been inculcated into our culture so much, myself included. All right, that we हम भरोसे पे सब छोड़ देते हैं, और जब actual calamity आती है, तो we are nowhere, So we need to know our rights and we need to get them enforced as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've seen so many cases where untimely demise of husband, and especially in COVID time, I've come across at least 5 to 6 cases where untimely death of the husband, and the wife really has to fight for her right, and with nobody else, her mother-in-law, father-in-law. Once the demise happens, then the family tries to get the access of control of the assets, and this lady has to really fight for it. But as I said, there is a case, and she should fight for it. They should not let it go.
Okay, there is a question over here coming in about living will. Living will is a completely different concept and has got nothing to do with your properties. Living will is when you are critical and you are put on to ventilatory support or life support. It is what you have instructed your relations beforehand, whether you want to be taken off or not, because in India, euthanasia as yet has not been legalized, and that is why the need of the living will. I think in our previous medical legal conference, we had dealt with this in absolute detail. We had a 1-hour lecture on the living will. And I hope that I will see to that it goes on to the YouTube channel of AMC and you're able to learn about the living will and know about it more. Okay, it's got nothing to do with your properties.
Correct.
I just want to add one point. We are dealing with a lot of families right now. So my suggestion is that, do have a certified financial planner or an advisor with you, and always discuss all the health conditions with them. Say in case over this journey, like we said, financial fitness is an ongoing journey. And if you find that any family member has any kind of illness, first thing is that you please inform whoever is your financial planner, financial advisor. Because while you are dealing with that illness, there is a lot which you can do with your wealth and your properties and all. Well, in time, I think Shailendra will highlight this point. Like he rightly said, that instead of getting into this junjet of a will and probate and all, in case if there's any critical illness, you can actually gift a lot of assets while you're there to whomsoever you want to give. So they don't have to get into this junjet of will, probate and all. A lot of your assets can be gifted. And like I said, the demat combination can be in such a way that if something happens, we can just do like an off-market transfer and transfer all the demat holdings to the person well in the time. So I think, Shailendra, you should speak a little on this fact that while a person is alive and he's dealing with some kind of a health issue, gifting is one of the very good options. And even whoever is the main person, they can even take a power of attorney for the person who's sick, because this is one situation which a lot of people don't know, but it's so good that you are able to gift while you're there rather than getting into all the hassles afterwards. So I think on this gifting thing, Shailendra, if you can add one or two.
Sure. I think I did touch, but not in detail. So the whole idea is of estate planning is to ensure that the asset gets passed on a peaceful manner. Now, obviously, you need not hold everything in your name till your last breath, right? As one grows, as one gets confidence, as children grow, as the children are able to manage their assets, okay, they married. A process of passing on certain assets to them during life is also something which should be explored. Okay, explored from the practicality aspect as well. One is obviously you are giving them during life, though you can see the happiness, you can see they using it, okay, instead of living it after death. So there's one emotional aspect also, which I think is equally important, where gifting during the life, okay, but let me add this point, not at the cost of your own lifestyle, okay. You have to keep enough and big enough amount for yourself, but if that is being taken care of, okay, and you're very sure that you don't have to depend on your children, okay, then do plan gifting certain assets during your life. This could be financial asset, this could be property, because it makes the whole process of transmission and passing on wealth after demise far more simpler, right? If you have to deal with lesser number of properties, you have to deal with lesser number of paperwork, okay, the assets are in the control of your children, right? Gift deed is a very simple document. Stamp duty is also lower. In most of the cases, 1% is what is applicable. Do that. It will take not more than 2-3 hours at the registered office to do the registration. Okay, the property gets passed on to the legal heir. So gift deed is a good option to explore. Also power of attorney, because many a times as person grows old, is not able to sign. It is good idea to have a power of attorney. Now, power of attorney one can give for a limited purpose of, let's say, operating bank account and only doing certain paperwork, legal paperwork. You may not give an absolute or a general power of attorney. And in case if you wish to, you can do that as well. So both these instruments, which is power of attorney and gift deed, go along with the will, if I can add that, because that helps the whole process of passing on the wealth. So this is something which you can do during your life and plan for a smooth inheritance to your children. Right.
With that, I will call in Dr. Hemant Dugar to give a vote of thanks.
Wow. Excellent planning, execution, and what ends well is always all well, because lot of takeaways, lot of insights, lot of problems, and the what do you say, more than 200 delegates still logged in till the end. That is the beauty on the requirement of this Fincon. And we must thank President Dr. Nilima for having the vision of having a series of Fincon, executing, and Finovate helping us deliver it to the core getting people on board, which matters with our own Dr. Dedia and Dr. Raichuria. Both of them, know a lot of about finances, and they themselves are financial wizards. So thank you very much, the panel, Pranav, for handling it well, along with the questions, and dear Rahul, the blue-eyed boy, for being there. राहुल, पर्दे से बाहर आ सकते हो आप, if you are, yeah. So he is with an orange t-shirt, not
Rahul,
the
lenses laga lo blue wale.
so for a first time, I think in this year, second time he is doing the MOC. First time was only vote of thanks. I think this time it was the MOC. So
He's
good
done the
job.
entire cyclothon and the
Oh
marathon.
no, those are
So-
events. I'm talking about
So
webinars.
even today he did risk management presentation, which was also like he was the
Absolutely.
speaker.
I'm always there in the background. I'm always there background arranging everything.
देखा blue eyed boy किस लिए बोलते हैं?
When
And of course, thanks goes to Dr. Ashok Shukla, our MMC observer. I don't see him. Ashok also can come out of the parda. The Okay, I think he is locked out or there. So thank you very much, and thanks to all the delegates. I'm sure all of you must have been benefited by this webinar of financial health of the doctors. It is all regarding health, and this aspect of the health is also very, very important. But not to end here, on 25th and 26th of February, we are going to have lot many topics related to the health of the medical fraternity, which really affect us, but in spite of knowing, we are ignorant. That is because we are off guard, or you can say we are overconfident. So either way, we all need advisor, as we advise to our patients. So we need advisors, and there are many available. The only thing is to take the first step forward and be there. The people are there to help you out. Thank you, Nilima, and all the panel.
thank you.
I hope that the AMC members who have attended all our webinars till date have realized the amount of pains that we have taken to bring every aspect of every topic properly. Very big thanks to Nehal, because when we decided to start the Fincons, I remember I was having a chat with Nehal for nearly 1.5 hours, and I was, telling her what exactly is it that I want, and she understood it so thoroughly. And we broke it down into 3 or 4 Fincons actually, but the 4th Fincon we could not have. So we clubbed up, but we have managed to cover every aspect, the financial aspect of a doctor's life, not just in his practice and profession, but even in his personal. Because if your personal wealth is going to increase, you can dedicate more amount of time to the patients. And that is finally our aim in life. We are doctors, patients always first. Pranab, a very, very, very big thank you to you, because wherever on this earth you may be, you've always seen to that you've started all the webinars for us. It is very tough. I know you all are corporate people, you all don't work on Sundays. So an extra special thank you to my second blue-eyed boy, which is Pranab. So thank you so much. I have a lot of blue-eyed boys actually, who are doing such a lovely work. We'll have a blue-eyed boy brigade this time in AMC.
Like
And
ma'am,
we-
today he's in the midst
I
of a wedding.
am thankful to Nilima for not making me a black-eyed boy.
Many people are going to be thankful to me for that. I never made a single black-eyed boy in my entire term. All of them were blue-eyed only. And Nehal and Pranav, thank you very much. You're one of your colleagues is getting married, but in spite of that, we've had this webinar. But let me even point out to you that this was your choice, because we wanted to do it after the budget. Okay, so do not blame the AMC for having disturbed.
No. In
your
fact,
wedding.
I will say that Pranav is in the midst of attending a wedding of a colleague, and still
Pranav, please leave.
he was 100%. So
The end.
it is really good on his part.
Yes.
And thanks Shailendra also, that really for like this wonderful talk. on the very important
Yes,
aspect
yes.
of
I'm
estate
I'm
planning.
sorry, I
Raichura,
just missed
sir.
his name. I
Dr.
missed
Raichura,
Shailendra's name. Thank you, Mr. Shailendra Dubey,
My pleasure,
for
sir.
enlightening
Pleasure to be
us
here.
on so many things about the will and nominee and the gift deed. So very informative. Thank you very much.
Dr.
My
Raichura,
pleasure,
sir,
sir.
in
Thank you.
the chat box, you are writing, sir, you're writing over here. Thank you, Dr. Nilima, ma'am. I do not want that from you. You are, you know what you are to me. Okay. भगवान के बाद में अगर कोई होगा, मेरे फादर के बाद में कोई होगा तो वो आप हैं. और I have co-opted such members into my committee who I knew were not my friends or family as such, but who were good in a particular job, because finally AMC has to benefit and no particular person has to benefit. So each and every person chosen this time in the committee as co-opted members have been very thoughtfully put in their places, and every aspect of whatever we have touched upon has been taken up by some specialist in that area. So we have tried to give our best to you all, and I hope you all appreciate it by registering for the AMCON as early as possible and attending physically and meeting us now. It's high time. No more webinars. Let us have only physical meetings. And obviously, the ITCon, 12th of February, we expect you to be at the Thakur Auditorium, and we want your physical signatures on the papers, on the white paper at the Thakur Auditorium, as well as at the AMCON. The AMCON is going to be having a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting announcements also. And one more interesting thing in the AMCON is going to be the 360 degrees camera. Right, that day I tried to take my phone and then move around, goal mein aisa dekha kaise actually dikhta hai, but the 360 camera is completely different. Please come and experience that also. We have a lot of interesting things for you. One talk on finance. So now Nehal is going to do all the mopping up of whatever has been left, and that is going to be presented at the AMCON. So the AMCON is going to be a series of very good structured programs. Please go through the brochure. Please even go through all the videos that we've made. Please go through all the posters that we have made about every speaker, and we have chosen each and every person so well with a lot of thought going on behind it. So I'm expecting you to be there at the AMCON. See you all soon with all my blue-eyed boys.
My man.
Pranav, you can
You
close
can
the meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everybody.
Thank you.